So, hello, everybody, and welcome on this beautiful little Saturday here, where we didn't only get you some new division previews, but we also get you some hot WARNO League action from Division 3. The Grand Finals is in front of us, a best of 5 between Mike and Fluffy Unicorns in a nice little best of 5 here, fighting for the Division 3 title. And we will get some really cool matches here between really standard divisions. This is maybe the most standard division picks that we have seen this season in the best of 5. Not a single special division out there. All really meta mechanized divisions here. So, yeah, we're gonna see a lot of games that will look like Wano is usually looking like, and see who is better at basic Wano.
Yes, and speaking of basic WARNO, Protoss, is it not kind of interesting that first UK Armored is being picked as a counter pick to the Dutch Armored Division 4E Divisie, the map pick of Omen, which forces infantry fights, makes it this a kind of an interesting infantry-leaning counter pick, but I just have a feeling that in any kind of long like end game engagement, the Dutch are just going to have the better tanks. They lack ATGMs in their infantry fighting vehicles, of course. Their infantry won't be able to fight even the standard British infantry is more powerful than the Dutch infantry, but the Dutch here are clearly leaning into like a 1-2 step of opening up with this Leopard 1 and light fire support attack, and then scaling immediately into Leopards when the enemy tries to counter with their own armor. And as long as you just have a nice core group of infantry that can spot the enemy and do the screening and fight off recon squads, then the Dutch can bring out more firepower quicker. Is my opinion. And but what do you think about this? And especially, do we think that first UK's air is powerful enough on this map, this relatively small and like claustrophobic map, to actually counter this leopards in the late game?
Well, I believe the cluster bombers are going to be real powerful together with the seed tornadoes, together with the long range tornadoes, which with the long way from the spawns really can dominate the F-16s in the sky. So that for sure is an option. I don't believe it's going to be the option that Fluffy Unicorn is going to lean into from the picks. They both want to play mechanized warfare all game through. And in my eyes, there is a good amount of space on this map for great IFV play. So if the Warrior Obliques get played nicely with their Milan 2s, they can just ruin the day of Leopards. Like, they are one-shotting the Leopard once with the Milan 2, and they one-shot the the Leo 2 from the side and deal great damage there as well. So amassing a big wave of Warrior Obliques and putting a couple of Chieftains and Challengers in front of that is going to be something that the other side is going to struggle with. You have no great IFV cleanup tools in 4th Division. That's one of their big weaknesses, that they don't have a lot of cheap AT weapons. They only have TOW 2s, both on vehicles and in their infantry tab, so no cheap Milan 1 that can just clear up some warriors or so. You have to go all in for the AT weapons, and that might be an issue here. But the question is, we have seen really good Warrior Pleak play. We have seen terrible Warrior Pleak play this season. We will see where Fluffy Unicorn falls on that scale. Maybe in the middle, that might be good enough, that might not be good enough. We will figure it out here, as, yeah, this seems to be a really interesting opener as well from Mike, as Mike is not fighting for the classic Bravo role, is not defending Delta, but instead is basically rushing into Golf here.
Yeah, there's basically 3 infantry units are going into Delta, and they are going to they are the correct choice here, because if you look at Fluffy Unicorn's opener, this is like a pretty damn wide opener with forward deployment going in on all angles, including the Para Rover Milans and the Terriers Para, as well as some SAS patrols going out there as well. Most of the troops are going in near Delta, but that attack is seems to be like still these are the positions to build up an attack, which should give Mike, if Mike's helicopter spots this, a little bit more time to reinforce Delta before the actual takeover starts happening. And meanwhile, Mike has gathered a lot of firepower to go in the Gulf instead. And on Gulf, the positions for vehicles, especially reinforcing vehicles, are pretty predictable. So with some infantry micro and positioning, it's not that difficult to take over an early hold over a position like Gulf.
Yeah, Terrier Paras will slowly move in there. Law 80 in the north is a nice little defensive unit for any M113 incursions, but the M113 usually we see that more as a defensive than a aggressive recon vehicle, like using its Ehrlichien to stop enemy infantry pushes and light vehicles trying to cross by on the other side. We will see a lot of cheetahs in the north here pushing with this, so any hell arm play should be impossible with that amount of AA. And that's one of the good things about first in this matchup. Usually first's biggest weakness is a helicopter, but fourth does not have a single helicopter that actually can shoot at it. It has one card of BO-105s. That's all the helicopters that you get with the 4th Dutch Division. So their biggest weakness, which is just a couple of long-range helicopters, is already not viable here because the enemy just does not have anything to bring in that tab.
Yeah, the Terriers Para and SAS Patrol is currently moving into Delta, but they have been spotted by Mike's helicopter. The Natras are going to intercept them just barely, and with very bad luck, either player might lose an infantry squad there. Mike's forces are not in position for deploying enemy forces here. And meanwhile,
Ooh, yeah, they get another there with the unload. So Delta has the incursion of Fluffy Unicorn coming for it, and Mike now not really in a spot to hold on to that point easily. Can reinforce at least into the corner tree line, but should not push any further with his units, so should give up at least half of it. Whilst his push in the north now, that is going to be K. Oh, Terrier Paracal Gustav in a great spot. Will find the first YPR. Good reaction there from Mike, but a bit too late to save his first unit. And the Carl Gustav already firing, already stunning down the next one. Scimitars trying to assist from the side. Good smoke there. YPR does not get hit by the first shot, but is still in danger there. Milan Rover does get shut down. The Leos are moving in now, so Fluffy Unicorn will lose the north. Did at least give it some fight and brings in the tornado cluster. Oh, that could be devastating. It will be really close here. It only gets one kill, gets some damage. The cheetahs are fantastic AA. They get it killed off. So in the end here, a good trade for Mike actually, but now his cluster there is a good bit more damaged, and yeah, Fluffy Unicorn now needs to find a way to deal with the northern situation, either by going ham himself in the south, or by trying to contain at least the enemy's ambush within Gulf.
Yeah, no reinforcements are going towards south, whereas reinforcements are coming in for Mike here. Mike also just got the first good engagement against the Terriers Para because Fluffy Unicorns wasn't microing the forces. So this going all in down southwest, probably not the most likely idea. I would say probably more likely for Fluffy Unicorn to reinforce the middle. And yeah, here now with the Terriers Para getting gunned down by the Leopard 1 and L. The issue is that the M113 CNV and the YPR, despite their excellent firepower, which allows them to penetrate a lot of the other IFVs, even pretty decent ranges, they only have 2 or 1 armor, which means they can be one-shotted by the Carl Gustavs held by a bunch of the British forces. And this is not the case for the Warrior Uplink, which has 4 armor. And in practice, on the long term, it's going to mean that a lot of the Warrior Uplinks, if they're microed properly, will be able to return and disengage from getting damaged, whereas a lot of the YPRs are going to be replaced wholesale.
Yeah, Leopard 1 and L here in the fight that it doesn't want to be in, does get shot down by the Warrior Fleet. The one-shot capabilities of that Milan 2 missile, really nice on a relatively affordable IFV. Chieftain Mark 11 here also outscaling the Leopards, so forcing the enemy kind of into Leopard 2s if they want to deal with the mechanized forces of the enemy here in the south. But obviously, Mike for now focused on trying to fight the north here. Reinforcing warrior pleaks will be able to get into the corner forest for fluffy unicorns there as well, but they will need to find a way to get a couple more reinforcements in. Another tornado on the way. SAS patrol holding the Nantres away, but they got the Rover Milan beforehand, so good small little kills here on both sides. The attrition rate decently high, but not the highest we have seen
Oh
on this map.
no, the second leopard.
The second leopard does get sniped as well. Yeah, this means now Mike's units here are stuck. He brings up another leopard 1, but the leopard 1's really not the units to deal with the warrior pleaks. They don't quite one-shot them on medium ranges, and they do get one-shotted in return. And yeah, the YPR versus warrior pleak should go for the warrior pleak while showing frontal armor usually as well, but it did show side armor there for a second, so that's why the YPR did get the kill there. That's a nice little one here. Fluffy Unicorns maybe overstepping the Volcom there a bit in the south. Has no reinforcements coming in, so has to play a bit more reserveful with the forces available. Leopard 1's in the north, meanwhile, engaging the Warrior Pleaks, getting good damage there. But yeah, as you can see, not quite one-shotting them, and the Warrior Pleaks do get the revenge kill. One hit with the Milan 2, another Leopard 1 NL down. And you don't get endless numbers of those Leopard 1 NLs in fourth. You only get one card, so losing your medium tanks here is quite annoying. Second tornado cluster this time around gets the kill and will live, but the cheetahs already did deal a bit of damage, so at least the reload time will be a bit longer. And we have the first Leopard 2 now. Leopard 2A4, but 4 Warrior Pleaks by now, and a Chieftain Mark 11 for Fluffy Unicorns in the north, so he really wants to get that zone back.
Yeah, this is a micro time here from Mike. Mike has all the pieces on board. The Werkener's 80 is a weak link here. If it gets lost, the Leopard won't be able to do good engagements. M113 CNV, unlike a lot of other armored recon vehicles, actually has very good optics. So it will be able to help a little bit, but if those two units are lost there, suddenly Fluffy Unicorns probably will be able to hang on at least a corner of that side. Meanwhile, infantry engagement down the middle, bad infantry engagement for the Dutch, Genie, Commandement, and Natre getting shot at on long range by infantry in cover. Meanwhile, oh no, Milan 2 actually not destroying it, but significantly targeting this misplaced YPR 765.
But the Genie might be able to help the YPR stunning down or killing off the Milan already. Yeah, they just get the kill. The firepower of that ATGM quite good. Meanwhile, Verkenners in the north do get shut down. The reinforcing warrior pleak in the south will stabilize the front for Fluffy Unicorns there, after losing a couple of infantry units on the push into the enemy infantry position. Another YPR here moving around will open up on an armored rifle. They can chew through them quite quickly. Warrior pleaks here trying to assist on the other side. No CV moving in for the north just yet, but we have another rifle squad. Those with their lower 80 can be real deadly for the Leopard 2s as well. They can one-shot them with side shots. They can kill them off with front shots relatively quickly as well. Whilst we have Lynx Hellarms now moving into the center. As I said, I'm not the biggest fan of them in this matchup because the other side has Stingers, has the Cheetahs, so your Lynxes will have a pretty low life expectancy on the front line directly. But obviously, if the enemy does not bring any AA, you might still find a good couple of YPRs, and at the minute, there is no AA in the center, so killing the YPR there should maybe be possible. And the first Challenger Mark III that can keep up with the Leo 2A4B, but not really with the Leo 2A4C, is arriving into the battlefield now as well.
Yeah, the 9 minutes in, first artillery piece, the M110, best artillery piece in the game, coming in for the Dutch as well, considering how immediately static the front line has been on most places. Pretty surprised that it even took this long for the artillery to start getting played here. This is this map allows for really close ranges for the artillery. The front lines are, as I said, quite static, so it can accurately hit even armored vehicles that are positioned frontline. But weakness, once again, is that with Mike, the infantry recon is not really anywhere. There's a single Werkener's 80 guy in a bad position in the southeast. The front line needs to be more populated. But the issue is, of course, that in every 1v1 infantry engagement, the British win all of them, unless vehicles can actually participate. And the infantry can't really get there reliably unless vehicles participate.
Yes, and I really like Fluffy Unicorn's usage of the warrior pleaks. He does not use them on their own. There are always one or two tanks mixed in. Like in the south, we have a chieftain Mark 11. We have in the north, we have a chieftain Mark 11 that can take a shot or two from a Leo and find out where the enemy armor is without the warrior pleaks having to face check them on themselves. But they're always close. They're always ready to fire an ATGM, and they for sure have been the monsters they ought to be. And they currently put Mike on the back foot here, I would argue. But the M110, if he can stabilize the frontline gameplay and can set that up, he absolutely can turn it around with that unit alone as well. Those units, we have seen them in the past getting insane kill feats, and having two of them, you can really turn this game around quite quickly if you know where the enemy units actually are. And as you said, he does lack recon infantry for it. He has a decent amount of recon vehicles, but currently not in the right spots to really get him the best intel here.
Yeah, just the KCT Verkener, some of the, like, literally the...
Leo to A4 gets cluster bombed. We have two cheetahs there that might be able to retaliate. Oh, the Leo 2A4 just barely survives. One hit point there. Mike did manage to micro it last second, otherwise it would have died there. Whilst the cheetahs, due to the mountain, didn't quite get the finishing blows onto the enemy either. Ooh, another M113 does get pushed by the armored rifles though. They are pushing forward. Warrior Pleaks now smelling the blood in the water as well, but we have a YPR with toe 2s from the side. Firing first because it has more range, and the first warrior pleak does bite the dust there. The challengers and warriors and chieftains now pushing the issue. That is what you need to do to get the tick back online here as Fluffy Unicorns. CV should move north there as well. But the Lynx Hellarm is trying to fight into YPR, is trying to put some pressure onto Leo 4B. And yeah, Mike needs some resupply there. He has no supply truck in the north, only one in the south currently on the battlefield. Only now the unit is coming in, but he has a couple of toe 2s with the YPR and a normal toe 2 team to at least buy him a bit of time here. But Fluffy Unicorns should clear out the zone though.
Yeah, this is armored rifles with two machine guns are excellent in clearing up these forests here, and they come up with the firepower behind them. The warrior uplakes is just an excellent combo. The ranges here have not allowed for the leopard 2s to do the kind of peaking engagements as they would like to, so they've kind of just are giving the enemy a little bit more distance, hoping that Fluffy Unicorns would overextend up north. Meanwhile, a bunch of units have been concentrating, especially armored units, in the middle and the south, with another leader being called into Bravo. So the enemy has kind of been pushed into the middle part of the town with some artillery support and a few more infantry units. Should be enough to, if not drive Fluffy Unicorns away from the middle town, at least start contesting it, start a tick up. I'm sure both players here are very stressed about not losing their tick advantage.
Yeah, Lynx Hellarm moving around. Gazelle is moving in there as well. We have the M110s here, trying to get some nice fire support into the middle. Doing decent damage there. Whilst we have a Chieftain, Mark 11, pushing in into the south again, assisting its brethren there together with the one warrior Pleak. Mike is using the infantry to try to scout for the enemy Sultan there at least. But the new Sultan is arriving on the front line, is also trying to get sneaky in the north with some Panzer infantry, trying to get a setup into Foxtrot and maybe get some ambushes, but the mechanized core here of Fluffy Unicorn by now is really scary. Rifles here with law 80s in the forest also mean that cheetahs and co can't really stay close as possible infantry support. M113 does go down as well. So if Fluffy Unicorns plays this right currently, that snowball that is building up in the north, I feel like they absolutely should be able to crash all the way through to Alpha and at least clean the whole north up. But obviously, misplays here can happen on a map like this where the line of sights are all messed up, and where you can get ambushed from the side at any given moment, and you have to keep your units in a good cohesive formation on the attack. But so far, yeah, gets the non-threat there on the attack as well. Is likely going to find the Leopard 2 here in a second too. Cheetah will go down. So many red units currently dying here for our player in red here. Mike is getting far behind in the trades right now and will have a tough time getting back up. The Toad 2 teams is going down. The Leopard 2 is so close to just get overrun there by infantry. The Cheetah went down. It's looking rough for the 4th Division, and it really is the playstyle that you needed to deal with them. That good usage of IFVs is how you bully that division, and Fluffy Unicorns has mastered that so far in this game.
Yeah, the British doctrine of infantry tanks, those 40 kph kind of moving fortresses right behind the front line. Of course, the infantry advantage here helps the British a lot, and also just the complete lack of KCT Werkeners. The KCT Werkeners is such an excellent unit, like some of the best price for value in the game, because they only get armed.
It seems like Fluffy Unicorns is overstepping there a bit against the Leopard 2s. Okay, does get a hit there with one of Milan 2. He's also getting pushed a bit in the middle, as the Soul Pioneers there didn't quite have the assistance they needed, so the middle does get pushed. At the same time, he does get pushed out in the south as well. So Mike is using his cost efficiency a bit all over the place here to wreak some havoc, but has to be careful to not lose that Leo 2 in the north. Cheetah will not find the kill onto the Tornado HE. Ooh, finds this way to sneak the CV into the enemy rear there in the north as well. And get a Panzer infantry next to it as well to keep the enemy busy. But the Scout Law 80 likely gonna find the Cheetah here in a second, but yeah, Leopard 2 able to disengage, keeps that important unit alive, and has gotten a couple of nice kills lately. Warrior Pleak in the center has just fallen as well, and the snowball of Fluffy Unicorns at least has been melted a bit. It's back to a relatively small one now, and has to be built up again. Rolled over more fresh snow to build the snowman that you want to build here in the end.
Yeah, this is just those few key unit losses that like absolutely stop the push into the back point, and now Mike just has to not over invest in the defenses, but instead try to wrestle good positions in the middle. Currently down south, the enemy has actually concentrated and is concentrating even more tanks. One challenger is coming for the middle, but another third, fourth challenger, actually fifth challenger if you counter the leader, I believe, and a bunch of chieftains, all of them are converging there. And there could be a catastrophic engagement in some of the most open areas of the map around here, where the British could try to engage the middle and then get caught in a concave by some Prats and PRIs. But that's still out there in the future. It's also possible for Fluffy Unicorns to just try to do some close range attacks into Delta. But at this point, with those bunch of Panzer infantry and a bunch of tanks around, even the Werkeners 80 and the Panzer infantry are getting some hits in and stunning and routing the Challenger Mark III. Even like Fluffy Unicorns forces
Leo
down
2, yeah, does get to shoot. And yeah, Fluffy Unicorn is just lacking the infantry, lacking the IFVs that they were before. A couple too many of those tanks bought, a couple too few of the support units bought that Fluffy Unicorn was doing so well beforehand. But yeah, just now, the lack of supporting infantry to keep the forests on this flank of this chieftain push clean, and the lack of anything in the center here is a problem. Sultan does get killed. Leo 2A4 though at least does get taken out in return. All three tanks are able to fire simultaneously, but the lack of recon here really scary. Might even have to push up with Scouts Law 80 from the south to assist there, as the Panzer Infantry, they only have laws, so they cannot really do anything harmful frontally against the chieftains. At the same time, we see an attempted push by Fluffy Unicorns in the north, but Challenger gets pushed back by the Leo 2A4B. So only the infantry currently moving around in the forest. And yeah, the far north now is starting to get some attention with some scouts, with some warriors moving around there. Scout Law 80 tried to figure out what actually is going the hell on there in Foxtrot. And in the middle, both sides having a tank as well, but a Leopard 2A4B relatively damaged up there. So the Challenger Mark II actually likely could take that fight. And yeah, the Challengers and Chieftains in the south keep up the pressure there. They just really desperately need some fire support assistance here. A Scimitar, at least in the middle, can give a bit of scouting power. The Law 80 at least stops any flanks, but 1 or 2 infantry units here, and this push will already be a lot further.
Yeah, Mike is pulling away some of the vulnerable vehicles, which is correct. They could have easily been taken out way too quickly, and the SAS patrol were spotting them. Fluffy Unicorns has seriously overinvested into the middle of infantry without actually cleaning up the middle. And now that Mike is getting some units out there in position, they might be able to fight this. But with the Challenger peeking against the fire support, Fluffy Unicorns is probably going to end the tick in the middle right now. Also, ending the tick back in the northwest with the little command unit trick in the back line. And yes, the stabilization is happening. The tank attack is still in a very precarious position, and a bunch of units have been invested from Mike. Enough units to actually push right back into golf have been invested.
But running right into the Tornado HE here, which at least will get to Genia. Commander will deal decent damage against the second Genia. Does get taken out by the Eyehawk in the south, though. So, not really worthwhile the Tornado, but at least will stop the take for good now. And should be able to push in further in the north. Just has to keep up his units moving there, with the Warrior Pleaks helping out, and the Armored Rifles, and then he will be back in the tick himself in a second here. Question is, will his units in the south finally be able to push back into Delta here when the 2 infantry units arrive? He is bringing another Scout's Law. All of these investments should have come a good bit earlier. Having 4 tanks just sitting around doing absolutely nothing is a terrible way to use your resources. So those tanks really need to get back into action. Also in the north, his infantry is starting to get melted down again. He invested so much into the south that his units now in the north are spread thin again, and he has to be careful to not get overstretched and be pushed back into Gulf before his reinforcements with the Warrior Pleaks that are supposed to clean up house in the corner there have arrived back in that zone. Okay, the Chieftains and Challengers now back into the action with the SAS patrol. YPR does find a hit against the Challenger Mark II. The second Chieftain here moving in. Challenger nearly goes down, needs to move back here. Is currently still moving forward with 1 hit point. Panzer Infantry Dragon does not deal a lot of damage, but it could just deal enough. But, okay, the Challenger finally moves back for repairs. Rifles and Assault Pioneers finding some engagements here in the south. Bofors unit.
Leopard is moving into position to challenge this. If Fluffy Unicorns keep this going, they could lose the Chieftain at least, or 2.
Yeah, but they get the Bofors, they get the Panzer Infantry. The SS Patrol here can move forward as well. Leo 2A4 does arrive now. Smoke would be needed here. Fluffy Unicorns might be microing elsewhere, has now cleared up the rear. So, yeah, needs to find himself back down here as the Leopard does get a hit and a stun. Chieftain needs to smoke off right now. It's not smoking off right now. Is still alive with 1 hit point. Panzer Infantry Dragon misses again, but the Leo 2A4 finally finds the hit. So Fluffy Unicorn needs to come back with his micro down here to find this push. YPR Preds and Co now pushing back into the north. The cohesive forces that Fluffy Unicorns had there a couple of minutes ago have been nearly evaporated. Cheetah here moving around again. Tornado Cluster does get a kill against 1 YPR. The second YPR will fall to the Challenger. But yeah, the reinforcing infantry here needs to get there a bit quicker. And in the south, the fight with the Leo 2A4 has to be taken a bit more cleverly as well. But the Rifles and Assault Pioneers at least clean up the flank. You still have 3 tanks. A Leopard 2A4C can't fight all of those 3 tanks at once, so you still have the advantage there as Fluffy Unicorns. You just need your support units to actually make that happen.
Yeah, another command tank is getting into the middle right now, so that is going to be up in a moment. And once again, complete infantry supremacy for the British. But with 2 challengers in the board here and a bunch more NM units with a wider front line at this point, the challengers could actually be in a pretty bad trouble. The Leopards could beat them, and they are being spotted here currently, whereas the Leopards are not.
Yeah, but there is still one warrior plique there with Milan 2 capabilities. There are a couple of Carl Gustavs that potentially could find a shot or two as well, and one stress level and like stressing hit from a law 80 or Carl Gustav, even if it does not deal a direct hit with a good side shot, could be a trouble. Challenger here does get a hit, but so does the Leopard. We have an F-16 gang coming around, no Tornado on the other side. This still looks good for Fluffy Unicorns, is now pushing into the south with a Challenger as well, finds another YPR there, could move forward with the Rifles and the Assault Pioneers. Challenger Mark II leader trying to rotate around there as well, together with the Chieftain, to try to really find a push there. Rifle in the north does get killed in transport, that's a bit annoying, but the second one already back in there as well. The Sultan does find the zone. Armored Rifles do start to engage there, as a Challenger Mark II is moving in as well, finds a stress here, so that is all nice. Challenger Mark III is moving up north as well, whilst the Chellies in the center, still alive, still in the fight. Just the infantry does not find the AT rocket hits that they want to fight. Warrior Pliques here rotating around as well, as the Challenger does find the self. We have action all across the board. Great action from both players so far. And we see the F-16A getting shut down by Tornado. Tornado HE getting a decent run in there as well. The Cheetah finally out of ammo, not able to deal with this anymore. The Challenger counter pushing again, and Mike now once more the one that has to be careful to not lose the cohesion, as all his units currently caught on the move by enemy fire support. This is not looking good for Mike's push here in the north.
Yeah, though Fluffy Unicorns is also driving right into the middle of Panzerinfanterie with their Carl Gustavs, could do horrible damage. Though they managed to separate the first Panzerinfanterie Dragon without getting in the range. Now second one spotting the, oh, but it is on a move command.
Two Leo 2s in the south though, also pushing against the Challengers. SAS Patrol there being found out. Meanwhile, Striker finds a Leo 1NL in the middle. Oh, Panzer Infantry here does get taken out in the north. Another one trying to get behind those tanks, but might not even find them because they are just on a deep mission now. Oh boy. Fluffy Unicorn is trying to go deep. F-16 though, with a bomb load that does not quite hit. Tornado trying to get behind this. Does fail to get the kill. Challenger Mark III fighting off Nantres here. Stolly not quite finding the way either. Leopard 2A4 leader moving back in here, trying to fight off the Challenger, trying to fight off the Chieftain. Chieftain does get found by the Panzer Infantry. Rifle though, with low 80s, closing in on the Leopard 2A4. Not quite close enough to get the shot off just yet, but it's not having a line of sight there on them right now either. So yeah, this is deadly on all sides. The Rifles now find the hit. So keep the engagement up. Why are they running away? Why are you running? The Rifles do get killed there. Could have just killed the Leopard 2A4 with its fast-firing Law 80, but the second unit is moving around. That absolutely should do it. Challenger Mark III here, rotating up north as well, though the Leopard at least does get the contest. Meanwhile, YPR goes down in the south. Layer 2 does go down in the center here, as the Rifles did get close enough this time around. Cheetah goes down there as well. Leopard 2A4 leader is super low, and the Challenger and Warrior are pushing in for it as well. So this is trouble for Mike all across the board right now. As the Rifles
got a side shot.
The Rifles did not push quickly enough. They will find the cleanup, but the Challenger Mark III at least does go down. Warrior Pliques here on a deep mission now in the Alpha Zone together with a Challenger Mark III. This will be an interesting one as well, seeing where both sides will meet there. I'll not have an unload command on those Warrior Pliques, but the Warriors themselves could already deal with all the units that are moving around. Challenger Mark III might find a tow to Laro here as well. Yeah, will spot it and will get to engage it and kill it off as well. And the YPR there, a bit too close. Armored Rifles getting out there as well. So the Challenger likely gonna get into the rear zone. The Leo 2s in the south have not found the kill against the Chieftain, but the Chieftains are really low, need to be resupplied. Rifles running across the side. It's a really tough fight, but Fluffy Unicorns currently is pressing the advantage. F-16 cluster does find the kill, so only contested zone now with only a +3 instead of a +5 for Fluffy Unicorns. That still is good enough to catch up here in a minute, but yeah, he does want to win the fight on the south now. He has the setup to win the fight on the south. He has the Rifles there able to ambush the Leo 2A4C in a second. And he has another rifle up north that can protect that flank as well, so his challengers should be able to engage there in a split second with all these tanks moving around. Yeah, Leo 2A4C running into an Assault Pioneer and the rifles here.
Oh, no.
They find
Showing
the
it
first
right
one.
out.
Rifle is moving forward. It's showing side or even rear armor here. Only now moving around, but the rifle side armor shot is good enough here with the Law 80. Frontal hit against the Leopard 2A4 that now turned around its turret. Will be pushed by all the other units as well. Can't really escape here into any good direction. Is just driving away backwards, but the Challenger and Chieftains on the hunt will be able to find line of sight and find the kill there. So no holding forces here now for the south. You need your Layer 2A force to deal with those units. You don't have other good tools in meeting engagements there. And the Warrior Appliques did clean up everything at Alpha as well. Yep, Mike is out of units here. Mike does only have one damaged Layer 2A4 left in the middle. Another one moving up. The armored grind fight was won by Fluffy Unicorns in the right way of winning it. A couple of missteps there that made it a bit closer by investing into a bit too many tanks there at once that were just idling around for a bit too long. But the game plan and the execution in the early game was good enough to get him through here in the long run, and there's just no way that Mike is able to turn this around at this point.
Yeah, even though this very beautiful M110 salvo is currently striking 5 units at once, the M110, for instance, was not used as actively as one would have hoped to. The continuous kind of ruggedness of the engagements on both sides, with both players playing very calmly, expecting the other to make the first move and not really trying to take the initiative. And I think that gameplay on both ends favored.
Warrior Pleak might even find another Layer 2A4 here. No, it's out of Milan too. So okay.
Yep.
They
No,
deal
but
a lot of damage though.
This situation, this playstyle adopted by both players favored first UK with its way better infantry, and the fact that this kind of fighting on the whole map allowed for limited smaller forces to engage each other. And after the early game, when the Leopard ones ran out from Mike's deck, then there was no practical threat for the Warrior Appliques or the Chieftains in vast majority of cases. And they are also cheap enough to lose to the occasional Carl Gustav shot, unlike something like a Leopard 2. So Leopard 2's operating in this close environment were kind of just did not fit the mold supposed to. If this was played in like Kryde or some other map, this I think 4E would have taken this pretty easily. But Omen just forces people to get a little bit close to each other and forces people to rely on especially recon infantry. Just now we can see the KCT Verkenes being deployed here by Mike, but in so many times I feel like the Leopards could have just gotten those crucial first hits, and Mike could have taken that initiative, but it had the KCT Verkenes been more actively in the front line.
Yeah, and now there is just no cohesion here. And 4th E is one of those divisions, just like, for example, 11th ACAV, that can fall apart quite quickly once the cohesion starts to crumble just a bit. And that's exactly what's happening here right now. And yep, in the end here, GG 1-0 for Fluffy Unicorns. Great play there with that division and really showing up nicely against Mike here in game 1. And Mike did show some good gameplay there as well, but yeah, just could not keep up with the considerable IFV advantage that Fluffy Unicorns used really well in the early game. And yeah, the kill feeds here on some of these warrior pleaks should be really fantastic. Like, yeah, the warrior pleaks here finding leopards, cheetahs all day long. Like the layer 1 and L gameplay here, usually they are fantastic. I believe in this matchup, you actually should not use layer 1 and Ls. They are usually fantastic, so you start to buy them in the opener because they're your cost-efficient tank. But in this matchup, they don't have a good matchup. They don't do well against the warrior pleak because they don't one-shot them, but get one-shotted in return by a way cheaper IFV. and they don't do well against the chieftains because the chieftains are just too well armored. So I believe infantry and leopard 2s from the get-goes. That would have been the better idea here because the warrior fleets just killed every single one of those leopards basically and just ran over him in the early game, and then the challengers and chieftains could clean up the rest in the late game because he was just too far ahead in the trades. So yeah, GGVP here. Let's see what we will get in game number 2. And we will move to airport with 2nd Panzer Grenadier on the side of Mike, not being banned here. Interesting that we see a 16th Belgian ban over a 2nd Panzer Grenadier ban versus 2nd UK. So an old school matchup. Though on airport, I'm quite worried for 2nd UK. I have no idea what exactly they're going. Like, they have to do something wild in the opener, otherwise they're likely going to be toast. So quick break, guys, and then we're going to be back with game number 2. So here we go. Game number 2. Fluffy Unicorns versus Mike. Facing off each other on airport with a lot of SAS here moving in on the left side. But before I jump in, big shout out to the Mechanized page where you guys already helped us out quite a bit with the prize pool, but you can push it even further. We are up at a beautiful $453 already. The Division 3 winners will get $20 thanks to the stretch goals that we got through by now as well of this. And if you guys want to assist this without even having to pay anything, you can do so. You can create free money basically by clicking on the claim code button here, and at 25 cents completely for free into the prize pool. Thanks to a lot of you already doing so. And yeah, 5 codes remaining. So help out with the job. And yeah, if you like what you're watching, consider leaving a like and a comment for the algorithm on YouTube. And yeah, just keep on watching and following uh, for the algorithms on Twitch and YouTube as well. And let's get into the action here with second UK on the left side, second Pensacola on the right, and yeah, the aggressive opener that you're needing here as Fluffy Unicorn is going to happen. SAS out in numbers, 4 of them out on the battlefield here, 3 of them going in for the center. The Echo attack, it is going to be, question is, how much chance does that have to actually dislodge and destroy enough forces of second Panzer Grenadier to create a good starting ground here?
Yes, so Protoss, as Sun Tzu said, the true art of war is to defeat your enemy without even fighting. And if you look at the southern portion of Red Faction Army Mike's forces here, they are going in for the long haul. They are going to do a long left hook and try to move in via Bravo, not fighting in the traditional grounds of Leopard 2 supremacy, which would be around Echo and Foxtrot, not even going too much into defending Zulu, which is going to probably prove to be some kind of a weakness. There are forces, including a bunch of Schwillinges and Panzergrenadiers around, some limited numbers of Fallschirmjägers, and with some good luck or bad decisions on Fluffy Unicorn's side, they could at least slow the SAS down critically, if not destroy them completely. But yeah, this is going to be. This is all going to come down on how well Fluffy Unicorn can actually execute on the aggro they need to be doing here, because they don't know it, but we know that that aggro needs to happen completely because so many points of Mike's are invested into this Bravo thing.
Yeah, that Bravo move through the south here, right behind the enemy lines, is going to be interesting. Meanwhile, a decent defensive setup here into the buildings around Alpha and Zulu as well. Whilst, yeah, the SAS here, only one of them is actually going there. One of them is going north. One of them is going to Echo. And the issue with SAS is that you want to have them actually right on top of the enemy in the first minute, but you don't want to have them die there. So they are one of the most important units in any deck ever, because they are both your best anti-infantry and your AA in this deck, because you don't get any other good AA in the deck. So the Stinger Post, with its fantastic 70% 1% accuracy, thanks to the veterancy of special forces, is going to be key to actually be able to deal with enemy planes and helicopters moving into your direction. And at the same time, the submachine guns and light support weapons here are great to do some extra damage as well. So this is going to be key. We have Warrior Pleaks and Rover Milans here behind that as well, which with a challenger moving into a weird spot here in the middle of the open field as well. That maybe then also could rotate south, but yeah, that Gazelle that is going to fly deep here, that has to figure out for Fluffy Unicorns what exactly is happening. He has at least a Gazelle going in the right direction that could figure out what Mike is up to here, but he has to actually look in that direction, and he then also has to find a solution for the problem that he is facing.
Yeah, Fluffy Unicorn's tank actually is not going to go into supporting the infantry attack, but instead will go between Foxtrot and Echo. That is the standard location there, and they of course have to expect the enemy is going to open up with some kind of mech play in the Foxtrot. But the Gazelle is going to find out that that's not exactly what's happening, and it's going to go directly above this, and the Gepard will be able to shoot it down. But if Fluffy Unicorns gets this information here, they could maybe start buying quick response teams such as Hell Arms or just infantry ATGMs that could maybe just lock down.
Yeah,
And
but they're only gonna have 1 second here, 1.5 or so seconds to figure out, to see all of this. If they didn't look there, they will be just like, oh yeah, my Gazelle died, what the hell happened? So this is the big question. Did they see what is moving there, or did they not see what is moving there? Milan 2 is not reacting just yet, so I don't believe they spotted this. They only will have lost the recon unit and it just died too quickly, so yeah, no reaction there just yet. The units in the center here moving a bit more aggressively with the Milan 2. Challenger is still going to the same spot. Warrior Milan is still going to the same spot. No unit here reacting. The Foxes and Paladins staying at the same spot as well. The SAS doing their normal moves in the north. Now running away from the Zwillinge. And currently, the tick rate here not gonna be super heavily in favor of Fluffy Unicorn either. Leopard 185 here in the middle, firing against the Rover Milan. Does get the kill there, but can get hit. And yeah, the big question is, what's Fluffy Unicorn's reaction gonna be with the vehicles here? As we see Warrior... Oh, Warriors being bought, but they are actually moving north. No. So no reaction to the southern push. And also no heavier, quicker movement of units in the north. So I feel like we will see Fluffy Unicorns just being completely blindsided by this in a minute.
Yeah, the SAS up north has gotten into bad engagements with the Zwillinge and Milan supporting, the modern Milan supporting. The SAS in the middle has similarly locked down into a bad engagement, and Challengers now moving in and trying to engage these on long ranges. But yeah, Fluffy Unicorns even moving away, moving back the SAS from the tower here, is suspecting that something is afoot, but has no idea what it is. Maybe the spotting of the recon helicopter here is a little bit of a hint, but yeah, as you said, oh man, Fluffy Unicorns is buying a heavy artillery and infantry reinforcements into the quagmire, into urban area. Like this is going to hit like a ton of bricks here.
Yeah, you can actually play against this by just pushing alpha. Like, but the 175mm artillery does not help you all that much with that. If it gets 2 or 3 good salvos, that might still enable you to do that. But what you would need here right now is maybe a couple of attacking helicopters, maybe a second challenger to really be able to put some pressure onto that alpha zone. And that is currently not happening. We see the reaction now to the south. The Fox and Sultan at least did see what is moving now, did react by moving away from it, realizing that they can't directly fight it. And he will now realize that he has to move elsewhere. He is 200 points ahead, but he will lose the +2 tick here in a second. And you can't stay with 200 points. You have to keep a tick up here as the blue team. You favorably would want to end the game before you run out of challengers, and you only have 1 card of normal challengers and a challenger leader, so not all that many challengers in your deck here. And that currently is not likely with the take rate. So yeah, Alpha might be the next goal here for Fluffy Unicorns. Moving the Fox and Saladin into a good spot here in the middle, but the Challenger is just rotating in such a weird angle instead of actually taking fights to the layer 1s here. Not quite realizing how little good AT there actually is on Mike's side in the north. Like the layer 185 just can't deal with the Challenger, and there is no Jaguars, there is no Milan 2s up here. All just a couple of martyrs and layer 1s, so you could deal with that head on, but Fluffy Unicorns is not doing that.
Yeah, okay. Well, the Martyr Milan is does actually get a front shot hit, even though it's going to lose against a challenger most likely. The passivity here, like Fluffy Unicorns, early momentum.
No, Fluffy Unicorns is reacting to the south with a lot of helicopters, but there is a Gepard. The Gepard eventually might run out of ammo here in this match, but will take all the Gazelles with it. At least the Gazelle rockets there dirt cheap, but yeah, this helicopter reaction not the best. The Gepard has 3 frontal armor, so the Gazelle's rockets don't deal all that much damage. A good Rover Milan move here. F-16 trying to get into a good spot as well. Jaguar cluster being brought back. CSAS did get a hit, but yeah, that was not the reaction. Fluffy Unicorn now did give up his frontline position in the north. Like, instead of pushing the enemy out of the forest next to Echo, which absolutely could have happened, they let the enemy be there. They did stay on the back foot there, and now Leopard 185s and Leopard 283s have arrived here. And with the Leopard 283, you're now outclassed, and that now can start picking away your units. So you now have to find a new angle, and that is not going to be easy. The angle seemingly being the north here. But whilst you still also have to deal with the south, that is not going to be easy. The overinvestment into the south here really the issue. I feel like after being blindsided so heavily, the reaction should have been just 1 or 2 defensive units there, and then a lot more pressure on Zulu and potentially Alpha.
Yeah, like if you're moving on to do like long range counterattacks into that point of Bravo, like at that point you're playing against the strengths of your division, which compared to second Panzergrenadier, second UK is aggressive, it is slim, it lacks capacity to scale. They are both aggressive and like medium tech infantry divisions, excellent deals with great air, great support. But second Panzergrenadier, as you were suspecting that on airport, quite difficult for second UK to actually finish this game up. And we're already seeing how just the numbers of mechanized forces taking these positions are kind of becoming the way of the game, and how the infantry aggro early on of those excellent motorized air mobile units and excellent SAS units, how it didn't really actually do that much, and instead has just kind of ended. Fluffy Unicorn ended up standing still, being too scared to actually take any risks with those expensive units.
Yeah, ATGM's now flying around here in the south as well, but nothing there to really punish the units. Sultan is moving around for the flank, and yeah, the SAS now just being picked off. The SAS usually just want to be in constant action because you do want to keep the enemy's units low enough that the SAS can't just get one-shotted, basically. And yeah, 2 warrior Milans now going down here in the south, both dying. We see Hellarm helicopters now being brought around as well. The Gepard at least did get killed, so the Hellarms there could do a decent job. But at the same time, now the Challenger is just outclassed in the middle, is pushed back, and it's not a good tank for this map because it's not a flexible tank. On this map, you want to have something fast and agile like the Leo 283, like good M1s, and that is not the unit that the Challenger is. It's really slow for modern MBT with 50 kph of road, so it can't do that jumping between the zones that Fluffy Unicorns try to do with it well. It should have stayed on its path. Like, once you lock in, it's basically like an auto battler unit. It moves forward and does its job. And if you try to move it around, it's not going to work well for you. And yeah, that Challenger could have just smacked through, but Fluffy Unicorns maybe believing that Mike is going to play really stock standard as well, expected there to be more stock standard stuff from Mike than there actually was. Because, yeah, both sides picked super standard divisions. In game one, they have both played really standard as well, so not quite expecting Mike going out of the ordinary, because there was actually no need for this push in itself, actually, from Mike. Like, you can just win with second Panzer Grenadier playing stock standard in the middle. So why do that weird shenanigans? But that weird shenanigans currently is working out and is making his life a good bit easier on a +3 right now. Has to be careful to not lose everything in the cell without trading any further. But yeah, he still is keeping his units there in a decent defensive posture. The Gazelles moving around, another Lynx Hellarm moving into the center, and even with the 2 zones now captured in the south, that would not be a take for Fluffy Unicorns. So Fluffy Unicorns needs to get into Echo, and I have no idea how they are going to do that ever again.
Yeah, this is the losing the Gepard down south is kind of the last nail in the coffin for that attack. But the +3 is still standing, and it's going to stand here for a moment. Meanwhile, the actual like center of Fluffy Unicorn's forces here lacks a tank. No, wait, no, there's a single tank currently rotating into the middle. But on the other side here, if Mike, who does have a very precarious Jaeger Outclair guy in the middle here doing spotting, they have a bunch of their units in position already, and another Leopard 2, and with 2 Eyehawks and 2 Gepards. This is it's a very clear transition that when Leopard 2s are coming out on board and are going to start going over the top, second UK standard response is going to be like repeated air and artillery play. You airstrike them when the Leopards attack, and you try to bombard them when they're in cover.
Panzer Grenadiers also got the CV for the south, so now the take will go on for even longer. yeah, Fluffy Unicorns slowly moving around there, but the Combined Arms by now already achieved a level on Mike's side that on this map, you basically can't keep up with as Second UK and can't punish anymore. Like, what you want to do as Second UK is move your flexible helicopters and warriors around and your SAS into positions where they can punish the enemy, and have your challengers just holding on ground and rolling forward whenever you dealt with enemy AT units. But Fluffy Unicorns was spread out too thin and was running around too much, trying to be the firefighter instead of trying to be the arsonist. And that is not the way how you play Second UK. You can't try to play the normal long haul game. You have the feeling you can, and then one or two matchups, like against really light divisions, that's the way you should play it. But in most matchups, you are the ones that has to dictate how the engagements are played out, where the engagements are played out, and Fluffy Unicorn did give that up, the initiative here, way too early. Let Mike decide where to fight, when to fight, and yeah, with that just basically gave the way away completely. As I said, it was a tough one from the get-go here, matchup-wise, because Second Panzer Grenadier is just really busted at the moment, and Second UK is not the greatest division for this map unless you do something weird like a helicopter opener and so on. Like, we have seen some successes on it by someone like Procomi or so, but usually you don't want to play Second UK on this map. And yeah, this matchup is just not looking good. Also, once more reminder currently, guys, to just ban Second Panzer Grenadier. Like, don't let that division be open unless you can pick it yourself first. Yeah, Second Panzer Grenadier, just too good. I have no idea why 16th Belgian, which is just the weaker variant of Second Panzer Grenadier, basically, was banned above it. Even though Mike is good with 16th Belgian, but the reason why he picks 16th Belgian is because Second Panzer Grenadier is banned, usually.
Yeah, Second just doesn't have any weaknesses. It has top quality units in most of its tabs. So as long as you know how to play like standard infantry combined arms mech and do infantry attacks and support them with your Marauders and your Leopards 1 and 2, as long as you can do that, you can probably achieve most things required to win a game. You can you get not a weak forward deployment opener, but you still get a forward deployment opener. You get MBTs, modern MBTs. Not too many of them, but you get them. You know, PA 1 helicopters, top tier anti-air, top tier artillery, all of them working nicely in tandem, nothing being too ridiculously expensive so that you can just lose a group of units and then lose the game following it. No, even your assault infantry is like 55 points for the Pioneer Carl Gustav.
Yeah, Challenger Mark II here, rotating south as well. Next Challenger moving in. We have a Gepard 1A1 moving around, trying to get some hits. And trying to get some damage there on target. 175mm is trying its best, but the other side even can do that better. Like, the 175mm is not a bad artillery piece, but on the other side you have M110s, currently only an M109 being bought. This matchup, the M110 maybe even slightly overkill, though it's never bad. And yeah, red side now has a line across the board with units that Second UK just can't pressure. Like, Second UK is not a division for the grind fight, for the mechanized action against mechanized action battles. You have your mechanized tools to have a leg up above infantry divisions and to be able to hold certain spots where mechanized gameplay is important, but usually what wins you the game, so with that division, is good SAS and good helicopter play around that, with the challengers and so on just doing the follow-up, and that's not really what we saw here, because it's hard to do on airport, but also because Fluffy Unicorns just didn't quite focus enough on his win condition here in this game.
Yeah, Protoss. There is a bug in the game that was like introduced, I believe, during the last large update, and I noticed it back then, but I've never mentioned it. If you select the armored rifles unit or any British infantry unit, and you look at the icon of the L85A1, it's too big. It's too big. It clips the rifle model clips with the UI. I've
mean,
never had the chance to play this before.
You mean on the units themselves or on the unit
No,
card?
no, in the UI card, when you look at the unit card, the carrying handle clips. I always notice when
Oh,
someone
you mean in the
plays
bottom? Okay, yeah, I see. I was like in the unit card on the left. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Don't know. No.
in the user interface.
Reported in the Eugen channels. They will get back to it in 3 years' time. Jaguar cluster is trying to get the Gepard. Game breaking, obviously unplayable. Gepard will get the Jaguar. Jaguar will get the Gepard killed, but yeah, the air, obviously, with Ihawks and Gepards, you can lock that down easily as well if the rate of attrition isn't high enough, and that's not the case here at all. The Combined Arms is getting further and further ahead, and really it's just gonna look silly here in the upcoming minutes in the fights. Like, there is no way of winning these fights here for Fluffy Unicorn outside of Mike just messing up completely. And if Mike just plays a stock standard game here, they should have an easy time dealing with this. M109 is aiming for the center now for the motorized airmobile. Panzer Grenadier does go down. M110 here actually could be quite helpful right now, so would like to see that in a minute or two. The 107, the M107 here on the other side is doing a decent job trying to keep up with this, but Leo 2s and Leo 185s here now moving in to get a couple more kills, and 1 or 2 challengers going down, and then you just don't have any tanks left around that can replace them on parts of the map, and then just the tanks on the other side can get away with 3 kills time and time again. 1 warrior going down, you can't replace those endlessly either. So really the attrition rate is going to get you at minute 30 at the latest of second UK every single game. And at that point your game plan is, or your gameplay in general is just falling apart in front of you.
Yeah, so Mike here finally managed is going to do like a decisive battle here. I think has enough infantry, a bunch of leaders, and a very wide front line, filled with support equipment. The main weakness of the two main weaknesses of Second Panzergrenadier air defenses. Number 1 is siege, and we have not seen that here. And number 2 is supply. Supply is well kept currently, so no immediate positions to be exploited by the British here. They traded a bunch of their excellent cluster bombers to kill Gepards, and those were not value trades. So now we're going to see how 2 challengers work against just a full-on massive late game Second Panzergrenadier. Kind of a vanity build at this point. You have extra Jaguars and PAR ones, and you have a wide front line of different kinds of ATGMs. Mike is just pulling no stops to win this.
Yeah, M109 number 2 now in the battlefield. No M110s. The expectation was that the enemy was likely playing more aggressive, so the M110s might just be a slight bit too expensive. You might need an artillery piece to deal with the SAS and so on a bit quicker, but that's not really the case. We have the MLRS here on the other side from second UK. Those are clusters, so Leo 2A3 has to be careful there. But they are fast enough on the open ground to just roll out of there. No real kills here. The Jägerführer being actually the only thing that goes down there directly. So the Rover CP could potentially take this back. Challengers fail to hit the Leo. Leo can just disengage again. Sultan moving around. Leo 185.
Oh no!
Does get a side shot. And Fallschirmjägers are pushing in as well. The Milans should be the next focus point here of the artillery. Just taking those out. Taking away the enemy HGM capabilities. That's Leo 283 leader moves into the center. M109 is currently not firing. 1PO 105 did get shut down. Jaguars and Leo 283 is here fighting. The challenger from the side does get a good shot. Can't quite finish off the job though. As an SAS unit here trying to move forward again. Yeah, the M109 is currently not firing into this situation in the south here. It is a bit of a weird situation. Mike a bit slow on the micro, only now firing at the first one. Trying to get the units in the south with the second one. as he still builds up more, but he is on a +1, and that's the key part. Like, he is not 1,000 points behind or anything, so there is not even defensive play is going to keep the British here in the game. So they need to play aggressive in a matchup where they just don't have the capabilities to do so. MLRS here going for the Eyehawk, finds the kill there, but a new Eyehawk soon will arrive here on the front line. Hey, Silent Fall, thanks for the Twitch Prime there. Much appreciated. Phantom trying to go deep, but Gepards and Eyehawks likely gonna find another kill here on that unit. Phantom, yeah, Gepards just shooting it down there. Yep, there goes the Phantom. We have a CV arriving back into the middle. Leopard 2A3s are pushed back a bit, but the infantry now starts to get a couple more grinds on. And as I said, like, we are still only at the halfway point here. Any loss of a challenger or so is completely irreplaceable for Fluffy Unicorn. So even if the combined arms is still looking somewhat okay right now, any loss is just irreplaceable, and over time will just lead to
speaking of artillery striking, double artillery striking, the challengers not getting a stun before they manage to get out of there, though.
Yeah, but that means now they are damaged, they are stunned, so they can't assist right now in the fight. They have to repair again. And Leo 2A3 has arrived just in the south. Jaguar is around here as well, so that third challenger that is trying to move through the south immediately has to disengage again, meaning that you can't push further, meaning that the +1 will stay up. Milan 2 in the center is under attack. M109's aiming for the Challenger Mark II in the center there. That's the next Leo 2A3 is assisting in the middle against the SAS. New Gepards moving around, new BF105s, another Leo 2A3 arriving into the south. So that's all Leo 2A3s plus one Leo 2A3 leader already on the battlefield. Lynxes here just get pushed back by the Zwillinge in the south as well. Lynx rocket does go down. Tornado HE does find good damage there in the middle. Will die to the enemy AA. Oh, Challenger driving back into the M109 fire there a bit. Does not get taken out, but will be in need of repairs quite desperately as well. SAS will get caught out in the south. They are the best AA here. We talked about that at the beginning of the game. So any SAS falling is big as well, and that's 2 SAS down, 1 in the north, 1 in the south, and oh no, the north looks so fragile as well. Fluffy Unicorn has 1 Milan 2 team there. That's all that can deal with the Martyrs and the Leos on a decent range. So if that gets taken out, Fluffy Unicorn is in troubles as well. And the push here does continue. Rover CP, next target here. Mike is going relatively slowly here, but they know what they have to do, and they're doing it here. But on the other side, Fluffy Unicorn desperately trying to fish for some massive victory in the south here, trying to get that one big blowout that maybe could still swing this around, but yeah, it would need Mike to mess up 2-3 engagements in a row to actually be able to achieve that.
Yeah, 4 more warriors coming in here, warrior Milans to the southern front, with 2 more going into the northern front with some mortars, likely for smoke action. But even infantry attacks at this point against this heavily mechanized West German force, probably not the best idea. Schwillinges can stun your units down. The Martyrs and the Leopards have no problem just maneuvering and destroying them at safe distances. And meanwhile, the other units, the Warrior Milans, are not really capable of fighting these kinds of fights. They do have decent missiles and all, but they just cannot attack a front line with tanks. Even Leopard 1A5s on long ranges will just make the Warrior Milans obsolete.
MLRS does find some good hits here. Martyr and Jaguar down. Leo 283, unfortunately for it, is slight bit off, so that one does go unharmed, but the artillery here on the other side gets Milans, get SAS killed, and that means now the north is completely open. There's a new Milan team, there's some warriors moving in there as well, but there's just now a good bit more firepower for Mike up north. Gets after the Lynx Veto there as well with the Zwillinge now, pushing it back so it can't get a side shot either. Good artillery hits here in the middle. getting some damage against some martyrs there too, but not finding the kill. Gazelles in the south do get shut down again. And yeah, the Leo 283 is currently being a bit too idle for my liking, but I mean, it is still the +1 here for Mike. Mike is up 600 points, 13 minutes remaining only, and he has the combined arms, so yeah, you maybe just don't want to risk it here. The MLRS did try to get some more kills, and did fail to do so. Martyrs in the middle, though, at least do go down. So yeah, slight bit more success here in the middle for Fluffy Unicorns. Gets a level 1A5 killed as well. You would need to crash through all of 2nd Panzer Grenadiers, and they just have too much going on for that to likely going to happen here. Saladin does get found out in the south. Leo 283s finally get back into the action. Have to be a bit careful there with the mod Airmobile with Carl Gustav. Potential for side shots, but Zwillingen now will find that out. Leo 283 still disengaging away from the challengers. Oh, challengers do find a hit. Warriors try to find ATGMs. Will find one Leo 283. So this is maybe the way for Fluffy Unicorn to actually get a bit back. They have to go relatively quickly when it comes to the tick rate now as well, though, as they are 600 points behind, only 12 minutes. So +1 would not be enough. They will need a +2 here, as they are moving in with a challenger into the south. BO105 there is annoying. SAS out of stingers, so they can't deal with it. So Phantom here being brought up to do it, but the Phantom is unreliable for it as well. They at least do the job, but they'll get shut down in return. Tornado HE here, moving around for some armored rifles. Cluster Bomber does go through to a Leo 283. Okay, this is maybe the way to at least get relatively close to a success here. Does get the Eyehawk bombed with the Tornado HE as well. Is Fluffy Unicorn starting to do it? Loses the Tornado HE. Next Tornado HE here, moving around to try to get a good hit, but does get pushed back by the Tornado on the other side. The V is moving into the south. Will only get a +1 online here with the full capture, though. So you would need to capture the next point on as well. Artillery could help with that. M175 could just kill the Jäger Führer there. But at the same time, you still need to keep up the fight in the south. You need to hold the enemy from just crashing into Papa as well. So it's still a long shot from Fluffy Unicorns, but they do keep up the fight. They just lost the challenger in the south, though. But they do keep up the fight, desperately trying to at least achieve a bit more here.
Yeah, this is like Fluffy Unicorns is showing that if you just trust your own fundamentals enough, even in a bad position, there are still things you can do. You can just manufacture engagements. Just try to keep on sniping with your artillery. Try to get that little bit of an edge, marginal advancements in some angles. If you can keep your attention and not give up, you can get really far. And Fluffy Unicorns, I believe, is like top 10 on the rank right now. But Mike here is not really going in for those. Mike was very well prepared for all of this and hasn't been making any massive mistakes here. The artillery fire has gotten significantly better in the latter part of the map, probably because there has been so
Challenger trouble. It does get stunned down now. Accurate fire there on it. Okay, it is starting to move now, but is forced to move out, is forced to give up the zone there again, is giving Mike even more points. Pick ahead. Challenger Mark II leader in the center in danger as well. The 175mm never found the Jäger Führer there. MLRS trying to find Leopard 2s in the south again, but yeah, the Challengers here currently not being repaired and only now getting repaired. They haven't gotten around to do any further damage lately. SAS not able to deal with the helicopters right now either. And yeah, no take here for Fluffy Unicorns. They really play great fundamentals. We saw that in game 1. We see that once more here. So they are absolutely up in the series to beat Mike in my eyes. But Mike has the better division here and had a good game plan from the get-go and a good execution. Finds a challenger Mark II leader in the center now. And with that will get to a +2. That just is not something that the enemy can cope anymore with at all. So yeah, +1 already here, getting even a couple of points, meaning that the enemy would need more than a +2 to get them off the throne at this point. And Yeah, that's just not going to happen. Just even a couple of seconds of tick here will be good enough for Mike to get this completely secured, as both sides here keep on trading away. Like, good way of Fluffy Unicorn showing that they are capable of fighting late games even from a bit of a disadvantage in this game, but they are not able to win it here. They are able to fight it, they are not able to win it here.
Yeah, the cluster artillery even being dodged by the Leopard. So, like, Mike is on the ball here. Another cluster plane coming in, diving, but not doing enough damage to deal with the infantry leader. And even that was a very, very much kind of a desperation move in here, just in case the enemy had run out of leaders overall. But yeah, that being the final move here. Second UK, not great against Second Panzer Grenadier. Great against a lot of other divisions, but not great against the Second Panzer Grenadier.
At least not on the map of Airport. Yeah, Fluffy Unicorn here even getting the KD victory, but just nothing to push through the mech force there left on the board. So GGVP to Mike here, getting the equalizer, getting us back into a 1-1 scenario, and with that being meaning that we at least will get to game number 4. Game number 3 though, that one will be another mechanized on mechanized fight, an OG one there. Map wise, not so much. Thaler, it's a really standard map, but it's a relatively new one. But we will have 7th Panzer versus 5th Division Blindé there. So this is going to be real interesting. 5th Division Blindé versus 7th Panzer. OG mid-level tank divisions against each other. The 5th Blindé being nerfed to a decent point by now, and 7th Panzer being buffed back up to a good spot as well. This should be an interesting one too. So, quick break, guys, and then we're going to be back with game number 3 here for you on Thaler. Yo, everybody, and welcome back to game number 3. As we have Fluffy Unicorns on the left side, Mike on the right, and we have 5th Blinde versus 7th Panzer Division in the action here on Thaler. And that's just a map that usually is quite explosive in the opener. That might get into a long game when both sides come out of those explosive openers in similar shape, but it also could just end up in a relatively fast steamroll here. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of opener, especially towards Delta, we will see from these two players, and how they can navigate those really dirty line of sights that are close enough for units to deal a lot of damage to each other here on this map in the first couple of minutes. And really like Fluffy Unicorn's opener here. I also like 7th Panzer's chances on this map against the 5th Blinde.
Yeah, 7th Panzer here. I'm a big fan of it winning this match here. Just the T-72 being the objective counter to the AMX-30s on here, meaning the French are going to be immediately outclassed tank-wise. Generally, the French want to play it by abusing their better scaling and tempo in the early game, and then building up a front line with like a kind of an elastic defense of close range infantry, mobile tanks, and high tech missiles. But especially when the missiles can be deployed quickly, you can effectively counter more expensive tank attacks. But what's it going to look like here when the game is going to open with the tanks meeting each other? And there's just absolutely no way, not even with the upvet, unless these AMX-30s get dangerously close or get sideshot, they are going to be completely taken out by the T-72s. There are a bunch of Spezialaufklärer and Mi-2 recon helicopter and the BRM radar recon unit, which means that the T-72s will basically get all the support needed right from the start, even with a Shilka and a Kub to deal with any cluster bombers. And excuse me, I'm eating like bulldog super hot spicy noodles, and they are currently making it difficult to speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, the infantry advantage here for the French is not that massive, and they're also not really going in for the middle. So, which means I think Fluffy Unicorn might get the recon advantage, and then also get Delta, which is going to put the French in a really bad position where they have to infantry assault Delta under T-72 supremacy.
Yeah, the goal of Mike seems to be to get a supremacy over the more open area between Golf, Echo, and Delta in the south. But that is quite risky play. It gets you quite close to the enemy spawn. It also leaves you open to be flanked from the middle and maybe from the south as well. It gives you opportunities to maybe get some flanking shots there and some long range engagements, which is where the French want to stay at here in this one. Above 2,275 meter range, they have the better 80 gems, they have the longer range tank guns. So if the engagement starts at the longer ranges, they do have the advantage there. But at the same time, both sides here with a relatively calm opener in the north. We seldom do see aggressive pushes up there, and this one is once more one where we see it relatively calmly there, started up north. And yeah, Delta and the south, usual suspects here for these attacks. And it's going to be interesting to see where Mike's AMX-30s can get to and what they're going to be able to achieve from there, as Me-2s and Alouettes here will see both deployments basically for the full part.
Yeah, complete lack of AMX-10 RCs also, which would be the units to kind of take out the BRM or the Spezialaufklärer trucks. But outside of that, they would have been taken out easily by the T-72s also. So the French are just not playing with their most aggressive unit when they're trying to aggro, because that is how powerful the 7th Panzer counterpick is.
Yeah, Gazelle cannons here getting onto the Spezialaufklärer. That is quite nice. Spezialaufklärers here disengaging a bit late. So the Gazelle cannons did get away with quite a bit of damage before the Chilka will get into position here. Might even find a kill on one of them. So Fluffy Unicorn is now reacting there, now disengaging further. Me Too is in a really deep position here in the north, but could be dealt with eventually. And the big question is, how will the first tank engagements go here? Fluffy Unicorn now already moving south with the T-72s. I like that. Even moving the leader tank south and losing out on capturing the center immediately, but is now closer to these AMX-30s, is now in an engagement range where you can start the fight. Oh, T-72 actually disengaging there. Okay. Wants to be a bit more careful. Maybe expecting more AMX-30s to be there than they actually are. It's only 2 of them. So you absolutely can take some shots and then smoke off. As the Gazelle Cannon hunting the Spezialaufklärers here. That is nice if it can get its 20mm on target before it can get stunned down. The SVD here doing a decent job, and the Gazelle Cannon just not having the angle here will likely just get shut down. But T-72 on AMX-30, AMX-10 action here going on in the middle. AMX-30's not in the fight just yet. So yeah, really surprisingly few kills so far. But the Spezialaufklärer is getting one on the Gazelle Cannon. Annoying for Mike here. T-72Ms and SPW-70 moving around to try to get into better positions here. To try to contain that French flanking attempt. But yeah, still losing out on the point capture here. And the French at least do get a +2 for now.
Yeah, so far Mike has done this very well. Now, like managing to move the infantry up there without a decisive engagement with the T-72s, basically like a dream scenario almost. The problem is holding this position. Like with the DDR forces being way too close to their respawn, they can lose units and still keep up an attack, and it's going to be worthwhile for them as well. The Motorschützen are currently in the zone already, and they can fight off any of these squads 1-to-1. And with an extra recon and an extra tank here, the numbers are probably fitting to start eliminating some of Mike's units. Meanwhile, Fluffy Unicorns has gotten in the middle a grenade machine gun and some extra recon units. And this, even though Mike is bringing in an infantry leader, this is just probably going to encourage Fluffy Unicorns to push in the middle and actually like invest in the infantry fights. It's my prediction.
Yeah, smoke play here from Mike. Wants to go a bit deeper so that he can stretch out the line where he can threaten Fluffy Unicorn's defensive T-72s from a bit further and also get a tick up with the capture there. Smoke mortar there for sure, good idea. BAB EM81, one of the mobile smoke mortar vehicles. Ooh, half reach against the T-72. So MX-30s and T-72 they're trading relatively equally as well. As one of the T-72s though rotating south, EM1 leader and more Mordschützen moving up as well. The north is slightly in favor of Fluffy Unicorns, who did get better engagements into the center forest, but no side really able to move there, just that Fluffy Unicorns has the slightly better start into any potential engagements. 72s and Mordschützen find the escort. Mordschützen BTR number 2 is trying to move into a good spot there as well. MX-30B2 with their good 20mm autocannon can give good fire support. The Mordschützen do not want to be in their line of sight for all that long. But yeah, so far, Fluffy Unicorns not taking any losses, is setting up the T-72 numbers to be relatively good. Ooh, good recon in the middle, and the lack of recon for Fluffy Unicorns right now, allowing Mike to get some shots against the T-72. And the T-72 not smoking off here, is continuously taking the fight, and that was a mistake. Ooh. First one does go down. Me Too does get shut down by the Mistral as well. T-72 now in a line of sight potentially. No, not quite yet against the MX-30. So yeah, one kill there. MX-30 assisting in the middle here as well. Pushing back the 30mm grenade launcher. Mordschützen pushed back as well. Max of 1 trying to get the kill against the Mordschützen immediately as well. Mike really stepping up the combine arms quickly. And has the MX-30 numbers advantage now by Fluffy Unicorns just messing up that smoke micro.
Yeah, this is the in middle, like the little fire support that Mike has here can be countered by a single tank, could be countered by a T-55. But with none of that around, I think Fluffy Unicorn's the correct choice in just disengaging. Even though the grenade machine gun was doing some free damage there, just disengage and just scale up to the tanks. Another two T-72 M1s are coming, and there are way more of them in the deck. Even more, a bunch of cheaper T-72s, which could be coming out at some point. But at this point, just important to get the numbers up. There is a critical mass here, and Mike has a nice front line where the ATGMs, the Hot 2 missiles, and the Milan 2s can actually do a lot. But Fluffy Unicorns has already pushed them outside of out of golf of their position, and with another full man like infantry leader coming in here with some escort PCs, it seems like Mike is going to keep on sending units here, and with two T-72s basically at like under 1 kilometer distance, very unlikely that's going to do anything. The escort PCs that are going there are the one French infantry unit and the commander grenadier voltigeurs as well. Neither of those units have infantry AT weapons. Just an extra.
Ooh. Mirage Cluster did fail to get the kill there, as the Unicorn's units here didn't move quick enough, but the Gazelle Hot does find the kill. One of T-72 retreating. MiG-23 does get shut down by the Rolands as well. Big kills there. So the Gazelle Hot still profiting from the cluster bomber in the end. T-72 there, moving into the front line. Is engaging against the MX-10s, not against the MX-30. Spezialaufklärer trying to get a flanking side shot there with RPG 18s. He's now pushing in as well. T-72 pushes in, gets the close range shot, does get the kill already. Well, we have some engagements in the south as well. T-72s and Motschützen trying to push the MX-30s there as well, but the Gazelle Hot is really annoying. Shilka now does finish the job there, so now the T-72s can get into the engagement ranges here. Motschützen numbers a bit low. Aufklärer already moving up. It's getting quite hectic here for both sides. T-72 in the middle could take more engagements there. Lets the grenade launcher die. MX-30 and T-72 do trade in the south. If that happens, that is actually just decently favorable for Mike. Mike wants to trade tanks 1-to-1. If this goes on, then he will win the fight long run. But T-72s have more survivability, so usually they should be able to survive an engagement, whilst the MX-30s are not capable to do so. As the T-72 in the center now pushed out, Spezialaufklärer there finished up as well. Mike is getting up the pressure, and double 122mm howitzer here. I'm not the biggest fan of that by Fluffy Unicorn. They will try to get some damage around, but the front line here in the south right now, the combined arms is not quite on the level where you want it to be. And now we see the step down to the normal T-72M. You only get one card of the T-72M once, so now we see the normal M's with only 15 frontal armor. They are still decently better than the MX-30, but they take a good bit more damage from them by frontal hits.
Yeah, and right now Fluffy Unicorn is getting some gains in here that are going to be immediately stopped as the commandos land up in the northern zone. The Éclaireurs, the Chasseurs are still out there to use their infantry AT weapons. Gazelle Cannons will be able to do free damage here because the Shilka is not in position. And as I say this, the Shilka, if the Shilka gets the commandos, then that could be massive, but it doesn't seem to be happening. Commandos will be a big enough issue for any future infantry attacks that basically Fluffy Unicorns needs to invest way more out there, and the south is the point strain right now.
Yeah, Mirage Cluster also will find the T-55 there up north. 72 M1 in the middle there does get taken out, and now Fluffy Unicorns does not have enough T-72s in the south to actually kill AMX-30s quickly. Does find the CV in the middle, will get the full capture there, but still has the issue in the south. T-72M smoking off in time there against the Milan 2. The Quadsticas maybe should get back into the fight here in a second, as the commandos hunting down the Spezialaufklärers. They will be found in a minute here, whilst T-55As and T-72s in the middle do keep up the pressure, but there is a Brenner's there as well that could potentially find some shots. Both sides there with a really risky unit movement. Oh, and Fluffy Unicorn maybe overextended in the north. Now nothing to deal with the MX-30 left up north. Now the T-55A moving in, and we have good artillery barrages here against MXs in the center, but no real force in the south, and the T-72 Snowball is not where you want it to be. It's only a couple of T-72s right now on the battlefield, and Mike was able to spread out the enemy's forces thinly enough that he currently is likely leading a solid bit in the trades. Now, new engagements here in the center. T-72s trying to get on top of the enemy now, but yeah, the Prentice will just annihilate the Mudschützen there. Like, that's the unit that you want to use against enemy infantry. Prentice with the 20mm Gia just murdering that Mudschützen unit. T-55 does go down as well, and the situation here is looking rather precarious for Fluffy Unicorns right now.
Yeah, Fluffy Unicorns is now buying the T-72Ms, even upvetted. These are nowhere near as good as the M1s, which might signal that maybe the M1s are all already bought and spent. The artillery of the 122mm that you said, it is short-range artillery and it is being fired very long ranges.
Commandos finds the T-72 M1 there in the middle as well, and yeah, you only get that one card, you only get the 5 of those, so losing them like this, the Commandos don't quite get another side shot, but that T-72 M1 is in a terrible spot now as well. Even if the Commandos don't get the kill against it, the Prentice maybe could just roll up north, the Apilas unit potentially as well, so that overextension there with the T-72, face checking with them is the quite big problem. You can get into a spot where you can face check with T-72s in this matchup, but we are not there yet. For that, you would need a plop of 3, 4, 5 T-72s at once. Then you can just run into anything the enemy can throw at you and just basically overwhelm them with enough HE and AP firepower that you just kill everything that shoots at you, whilst they are not quite one-shotting you. But that is not where Fluffy Unicorn is right now, so moving T-72s like this, instead of trying to set up that snowball, is a big issue in my eyes, and that's the way to victory. Getting those small little engagements where you lose an AMX-30 but get the T-72 killed, getting those extra 40 points to buy a new ATGM and a new recon unit, and then getting better kills even next time around. T-72 M1 here getting found in the center, and the other units of Mike can just chase it because Fluffy Unicorns does not have other T-72s that keep the enemy from doing this. Like, this is the issue. You want to get to a T-72 snowball, but Fluffy Unicorns has not set up the T-72s well enough at all. Lacks maybe a couple of BMP-1s here as well, trying to maybe play it too hard on the T-72s alone, instead of having a couple of Mudschützen with BMP-1s that can push enemy light vehicles back, that can stun down an AMX-30 with a Malyutka for cheap, and instead just is trying to hold any single position with a T-72, but that's not how T-72 work the best.
As much as I like the BTRs in and of themselves, like BMP-1s overperform still so much. Like the lack of them is really glaring now that you pointed it out. The one extra guy that you gain with the Motorschützen SVD and the Motorschützen BTR, 8-man squads versus 7, that's not big enough of a reason to not have the light tanks, basically, to give you that little bit extra of firepower, not just to stun down the enemy, but also gain some occasional side shots. Just make it riskier, make them maneuver less, and the BMP-1s are not specialized anti-infantry units, but they can kill infantry all the same. They're excellent in supporting with their light tank gun, and the fact that Mike is still in this back line, 15 minutes in the game, is still out here, is really a testament on how well this original formation was built and how the T-72s just did not really get what was necessary to accomplished. And the Fluffy Unicorns got locked into the permanent printing phase and could not print enough to counter the more effective counters being brought out by Mike here. And Mike has gotten the recon advantage pretty significantly, has already like a full every single possible ATGM out there in the front line, has a bunch of commandos, so any kind of forest fighting, they can just get the commandos there to win it. Fluffy Unicorns needs to concentrate a force and attack somewhere. They cannot sustain this this wide front line. And as we say this, Motorschützen are being brought out with the BMP ones, and unfortunately, the enemy has the front line already. You did not get the extra hits. You did not win the marginal
Oh
infantry.
no, the M1 here on the real line action actually gets found out by Milan 2. Milan 2 misses the first shot, but will have another one there, and likely even a third one to finish off that real line T-72. Next missile flying out now, Gazelle Hot will see it as well, so that T-72 does not get hit. But
it's alive!
MX of 1 here, also the way better artillery piece. The Gvazdikas just failing to actually achieve much. And he had a lack of that one triple or quadruple T-72 blob that you saw a lot when, for example, Team and Place played this division, that is able to just run over the French and like rotate through the tanks in a tank engagement. That is the issue here. Like, you don't want to have T-72s engage on their own, especially because they also have the lower rate of fire, so they usually want to finish the fight with the first salvo. And you absolutely can set it up, but not if you split up your T-72s like Fluffy Unicorns did. And really, the lack of BMP-1 infantry holding one flank was the reason for that. He invested into T-72s all across the board instead of investing into BMP-1s and maybe one T-55 or so on one flank, and then having concentrated T-72s on the other. He brought the T-72s into the middle, brought them into the south, he even brought some further up north, and never had more than one T-72 at any given point on the map. And that's just not the way they work. So now we have two of them in the south. This game is still something that, with some good trades here in the next 2-3 minutes, could turn around for Fluffy Unicorn, but he needs to win these engagements here right now. Otherwise, the tick and the position on the map will just be too far gone here. So he needs to get a couple of good kills right here, right now. The MX-30B2 surviving with one hit point, that is really terrible news. That's that one here on the flank still being able to wreak some havoc is really annoying. Aufklärer needs to unload there, but yeah, the T-72 cannot do it on its own. Pioneer Flamethrower trying to push in. The recon, the smoke mortars here from the VABs being counter batteried. That's not the unit that you want to hit with counter battery fire. You want to hit the Milan 2s and so on with that artillery. As the T-72 does find a kill there in the middle now. Next MX-30 should die as well. Finally, two T-72s at one point. Immediately, two MX-30s go down. But yeah, more is necessary. They are starting to move forward now. I would like to see another T-72 and a good bit more infantry here down south. Just trying to push through the Selvan forest now and just trying to grind through all of this. But currently the investments are going more towards the center again. Really, the lack of focus on that decisive battle is a bit disappointing here.
Yeah, there's a Grenadier Voltiger Apilas that is going to do some critical damage to the vehicles in the middle forest right now. They have been followed up by a Chasseur. So yeah, Mike here is finding the weaknesses in the enemy's front line, which often just means that you just walk forwards and see if there is nothing that stops you.
Weird engagements here down south as both sides run through the smoke there. Not quite. The MX-30 is rotating quicker. The MX-30 is getting the first shot there. Yeah, smoke pushing T-72Ms in there when you have Motschützen that can just do that way better with decent AT launchers is just a massive mistake. Both T-72s go down, and that's it. Like, that was the force that was supposed to do something. It just got completely wiped out there by pushing into that smoke, and with that, the game does end here. Mike does win game number 3, and really, this was the first time that Fluffy Unicorns didn't know how to take engagements. Like they in the last game, it was more of a setup issue. This time around, it was Fluffy Unicorns once more not really knowing the win condition of the deck, but also just taking the engagements at the wrong time, at the wrong spot. We did saw that they were really good at it in the first game, so it's a bit surprising here to see it. But yeah, Mike just seems to be the slightly more solid player here when it comes to the fundamentals of how to set up engagements. Whilst micro-wise, both sides are pretty equal, so I'm a bit worried now for Fluffy Unicorns in the next games because it's gonna be more standard issue action, and I really hope they can find a way to set those engagements up a bit better.
Yeah, I think what was happening in the opener there was that Fluffy Unicorns was preparing for exactly one kind of extremely typical opener fight on Thaler, which is you go in the middle and then your little starting out tank blob of two tanks and one AA and one AA gun, though they will go in the middle and they will do the standard middle fire support competition, and then the game keeps going on. But instead, what happened was that the enemy just attacked in the far left position of their own flank, and this led the T-72s to basically kind of semi-defensive positions, but not really defending anything. Instead, they were supposed to move. But all of their support equipment was designed for and the positioning was designed to fight the original middle battle with the Spezialaufklärer that would have facilitated this fight being some of the first victims to the French attack. And this like immobilization of the T-72s right in the opener was so important here. And I think it's just that the Fluffy Unicorns just was kind of the plan just went a little bit awry. They just didn't have either the map knowledge or whatever to recognize what was happening, and then just didn't know what to do for a little bit of time.
Yeah. So GGVP here, two both players. We're gonna have game number 4 here now on Black Forest. So that one will be really grindy as well, as we once more have mechanized on mechanized action. This time around though, Fluffy Unicorns with the lighter division here, bringing around the 6 Leger Blindé versus 19th Motostrelka Divise. So this time around, Fluffy Unicorn is the one to have to bring the action once more. We'll see. AMX 10s have done well in the past of Black Forest. Let's see if they can do so again, or if the T-72s on the other side can stem the tide and just push them in with superior frontal armor later on. Quick break, and then we're gonna be back with game number 3. here we go. Game number 4, Fluffy Unicorns versus Mike on the lovely, lovely map of Black Forest. As we have now Fluffy Unicorns bringing around the franchise versus Mechanized Soviet Division, or also Pack Division rather, with the Czechoslovak 19th Moto Streleka Division moving around here
I
on
believe.
Mike's side of things. And we have the Crabs moving in from the get-go here into good positions. We have MX-10 RCs moving in behind that, Legionnaires all going out, all out aggression here to try to get some damage in. We have the MX-10 RC Legion moving into a position south of center as well, together with some crabs. So all out aggression, out of the French, as you would expect. The big question is, how far will Mike try to push his forces against that? And can he get some MX-10s before they can get him? Or will he get got in the early stages here?
Yeah, the D55 AM1 seems to be an excellent counter, or nearly a hard counter, to the AMX10 RC, as long as it actually gets into those engagements under the cover of infantry recon or helicopter recon, as we see with the Mi-17. The 19th Motostrzelecka, its deal is that it gets like a mix of standard and powerful packed mech forces, so T55 upgraded variants, BMP 1s and 2s, and a big bunch of T72 M1s, more than an infantry division should maybe. And they also get like 2 cards of pretty nice 6-man special forces recon. They get good recon overall, and they get a lot of heli and air assault units. They get special forces heli-dropped Visatkari. Their Conqueror's missile units, their, as we can see, the Eagles here, are only deployable via Mi-2 and Mi-8 helicopters. So it's basically a division that has just enough of a medium tank division in the middle of it that it can rely on this, but there is nothing special outside of a lot of air and helicopter aggressive special forces attack stuff. And this basically means that they can bring out units that can fight off the crabs or can fight off legionnaires in the late game. And I think it's pretty smart not to try to do helicopter aggro in the opener because 6 is so good anyways. If 19th Motostrzelecka can transition into a mid game of doing like strong infantry attacks, then that could be really nice for them because the French are not necessarily going to be able to fight off the mechanized fire support. But all of this demands and that requires that the French need to be stopped. That Black Forest is a slower map than most, but with all of these units just like barreling down, it's very possible that Mike just loses a bunch of key units here and then has to keep coming back into the game, playing only kind of the mediocre mechanized parts of 19th.
Yeah, we see a pretty standard setup here. Mirage, though, now going after the 2 Me-2s, and they're really close, so they could just nearly get killed out there with one blow. Not having any MiG-23s out here is a bit of a mistake by Mike. Does find the Esther car. His Iglas, at least, will get out alive, but losing the Conquerors there, pretty annoying. Key unit to deal with the MXs on the other side, which are going quite deep. The crab here can go even deeper than it's already going here for Fluffy Unicorn. AMX-10 maybe can do so as well, as we have a good couple of defensive Conquerors units. The T55 AM1 wants to play this defensively as well. They don't have smoke, so you don't want to be caught out with them on an open field by enemy Milan 2s or Mephistos or even the MX-10s just firing and getting the hits against you. So T55s, I like them as a plop in the center. They just need to be careful with where they're actually moving. Whilst, yeah, the reinforcements here for Mike moving in a decent cohesive force as well. Good couple of recon units in the north, just making sure no MX-10 is just running into the rear. Yestrika finds the Puma Orchidea there, last remaining one as well. But we have the first Pram moving in there slowly. And yeah, so far Fluffy Unicorns only having a +1 here, only having one leader currently moving around. And we will see Mike going for Boris here with a relatively cohesive force. And Fluffy Unicorns not finding any further kills just yet. Finds a recon unit there, that's nice, but also is a pretty expensive one with the Jaguar to get a kill on. But Coop's already on the move here. Yeah, Mike just needs to be keeping an eye on his units, not losing any for the first 5 minutes, and then he usually gets an auto win in this matchup. But obviously, doing that against the division with so many glass cannon units is actually easier said than done.
Yeah, had that ship's unit not been destroyed, the BMP2 could already be firing at that AMX-10, so that was a tactical victory for the moment. But yeah, Mike here kind of does hold the cards for now, and Mike is following it up with the scaling units, so BMPs and Coops, and Mike also getting the Pram, which excellent, interesting ATGM equipped smoke mortar launcher thingy. Basically, just a more practical and faster mortar, and you do a little bit of precise smoking action with that, and you can win some very key engagements. Now here we can see how you deal with enemy elite infantry. You engage with a bunch of stuff at once, you stun them down, and you make it look easy, and then you dodge the enemy, sending good money after bad by basically taking big risks by flying bombers. And if those only thing those bombers can target are relatively low-tech mechanized forces, then you're going to be winning on average.
Yeah, the bomber did get out though. The Coop not quite up there in time. MiG-29 not quite up there in time. So that one was a good one. The 17 did go down as well. So the center of Mike currently reduced a bit, and there are 3 AMX-10s here that could maybe start picking the rest apart as well. So has to be a bit careful there in the middle, the Mike that is. Well, it's bringing around more T-55s. So +2 here can get annoying if it goes a bit too high, but usually you should be able to push through the French in the later stages with a decent amount of recon and just good amount of your units moving around as a cohesive force. T55AM1 now trying to get on top of the Legionnaire and Crab there and will deal good damage to them. But now the AMX-10 is moving into a good position, is getting the hit, and T55AM1 now desperately trying to move away, can be hunted. The Crab will be pushed back. Motostralky RPG-7 should kill them off here. Those Crab and that Legionnaire, that would be a massive kill. It's not moving further. Mike, find the kill. Why is Mike not finding the kill here? That's a massive lost opportunity there to just completely lock down Bravo. As if those get back to full 10 hit points, they will just be once more an absolute nuisance here. That's WARNO 1v1. Like, you need to finish off units. You need to play for kills. Either you play for points on the map or you play for kills. Damaging is worth absolutely 0 after a 5-minute timer, because then the unit will just be back to full strength and you have achieved exactly nothing. So unlike Steel Division 2, WARNO is really a game about finding the breaking point of the enemy units and always pushing for the breaking point, because everything else is worth very little. And yeah, not going for the kill there is a big mistake by Mike.
Yeah, there's 3 more Legionnaire squads coming in with some supply. So if those units can land, and then by the time those 3 reinforcement squads are wounded, the 2 old squads have resupplied themselves. That could be like just the worst case scenario for Mike. And so far, okay, so Fluffy Unicorns is doing a little bit of aggression here, moving the Spahis out and an AMX-10. The T-55 currently in a nice little hiding spot here, with an Eagla getting a free hit on a Celtic. So they might be able to do some damage here with no supporting units really in position for Fluffy Unicorns. You have the second Celtic going down here, Igla running out of ammunition, but that's more than enough. Always nice to get rid of Celtic. Celtics are not as dangerous as the other AA helicopters in the game, because Celtics only have half the rate of fire than those other helicopters would, but they also just have great stats in other cases.
Yeah, they have the better missile, so I actually prefer the Celtic over the American ones, but that's especially if you have the gang of all of them, because they just have a better chance of actually getting the first shot out and killing.
They got both of them. All AA helicopter missiles have 60% accuracy, even if they were like Strela 2s, though. That's a little bit of balance.
Yeah, but the range is the key part of getting that shot out or not getting the shot out. And the coup here in the middle needs to be reloaded. We have Motostrelties moving into the south against the Crab, as Mike is now trying to secure the southern parts of the map, but the supply truck is arriving now in the center here, and now there are 5 infantry squads that he has to deal with instead of the 3 that he would have to deal with otherwise. Now, he finds the Legionnaires at least, so it's only 4. Okay, Legionnaire randomly got shot there, but the Motostrelty of his already down as well. AMX-10 here assisting with fire support, as we have the Dana getting onto the AMX-10, but without better accuracy, Dana is not the deadliest on these ranges. Infantry pushing in the south, Crabs under fire. First BMP-1 does get taken out by the AMX-10 RC Legion. Second one gets hit up as well. BMP-2 now trying to shoot up a P4. Infantry pushing up there as well. Yes. The push of Mike is going well so far. I'm just a bit worried for Mike's center right now. T55M1 there does go down. And yeah, Mike now moving a T72M1 up north as well. No infantry there though, so the Spahis currently can just push through there, can set up an AMX-10 flanking position. BMP-1 does go down in the south now as well. T55M1 maybe pushing a bit too close to the Spahis, does get stunned down at least. So will not be able to face off against the AMX-10 RC. BMP-2 not in a position to fire ATGMs either, as we see Fluffy Unicorn pushing back into the center, perhaps about to be repaired there as well. And yeah, currently not quite getting the attrition rate that you want to, but Fluffy Unicorn is at least setting up some decent positions here to maybe be able to do it in the near future.
Yeah, Zalesnici are being in a bad engagement here currently. Jesterka basically was running out of ammunition, but then was resupplied. But right now, the Zalesnici are going in and trying to force this fight, with the T-72 moving to engage the AMX-10s on long range to remove some of the fire support. With 2 Danas out there in the front line, this is a very dangerous situation for the Legionnaires and the French infantry in general. They are going to need to kill more stuff than is replaceable while under double Dana fire. And Danas are auto-loading high rate of fire, high salvo length units. If they were hitting directly, they would have destroyed those Legionnaires, but they are too accurate to do that.
Oh, Cluster Bomber gets the T-72. Coup out of ammo. Big mistake there by Mike, not having a resupply on that coup. Immediately bought with it. So the Jaguar does get through, does get killed off by the MiG-29 at least. So the MiG-29 finding some kill there in return. But Mike here now loses the northern flank a bit. The AMX-10s could push him there. We have 5 AMX-10s right now in the north. Izatkari getting spotted, just getting shot up out in the open. Well, reinforcements have arrived for Fluffy Unicorn's infantry in the south as well, and AMX-10 Legionnaire with good micro could deal with the Conquerors there that currently try to push. They don't have a tank in front of them. Jaguar HE will find the RT at SHBZ. The lack of the coups not being able to shoot here, really big issue for Mike. Vizatkari goes down, Recon Infantry goes down, T-72 is pushing into the open, but there are all these AMXs. There is a Milan 2 as well. Legion's trying to find some shots, and if all those tanks are killed or pushed back by Mike, then the AMX-10s can just start shooting up the infantry as well, as without the Conquerors 2 teams, which have to be flown in by Me-2s, you are not able to really keep them away from you. MX-10 RC Legion does go down, and The Legion Milan 2 at least does get shut down as well, but already Motostreltsy is going down, AGS 17 going down. The Legion in the south finds the first Conquerors, is able to micro against it. 2 more AMX 10s moving around. The attrition rate is starting to become critical here for Mike.
Yeah, the attrition of the infantry fights, the fact that there are no Visatkaris here, Visatkaris would work excellently with the Zalosnichi. The Zalosnichi could hold the front line and take the shots, and the Visatkaris could stand behind them and do the damage when necessary.
Oh no, the engine is destroyed on the T-72. It at least can kill one enemy unit here still. But it will be picked off now. Bram is trying to use its ATGM here. Not just being a mortar unit, does get a kill with it, but will get found out by the next AMX-10. So in the end, another good trade here. OT-62 under pressure. There is not a single unit here right now for Mike. Mike invested into new support units like the Danas, like the Coops, but he lost too many of his frontline units here in quick succession. His artillery is trying to go after the AMX-10 RC Legion right now. Is getting good damage. Can it find the kill? Likely not. I believe it's out of range now. Spy is pushing forward against the T-55. Does find the T-55 AM1 up north as well. Yestercar at least able to move away. But yeah, desperate need of frontline units here for Mike. Is now trying to replace them with Me Too URP, but there is a Croatel on the other side. There is still one Celtic left on the battlefield as well, so that is likely not going to work out. T-55 M1 in the south does get shut down as well. Conquerors likely going to get killed by the Legions here as well. Yeah, wants to stay behind T-72s and T-55, doesn't want to face the AMXs on its own. And that now allows the AMX-10s here to push in deeper. T-72 M1K on its own versus 3 at least does get the recon one. The other 2 AMX-10 RC Legions now falling back, but the infantry fight will be won by Fluffy Unicorns as well, who is already on a +2, is about to go to a +3 if they can move the P4PC into the center, which likely is going to happen, and then they're really where you want to be with the 6 Leger Blindé.
Yeah, this is like the amount of units that Mike had committed to conquering Fedor, the amount of infantry especially, and just how those infantry fights have just repeatedly gone wrong. Sending 7-man infantry squads to face down the enemy 10-man infantry squads, the enemy flamers and the enemy special forces, that's just a bad deal. Like, especially in that southern forest near Fedor, which is basically required if you want to prevent the enemy from using the AMX-10s around this area and just microing against you. Not committing the Visatkari. And now I was wondering if the Visatkari are not in the deck, but they are in the deck. This is not being played here.
We saw 2 of them before.
Mike do this here. Sorry?
We saw 2 Visatkari before. They just got murdered by
okay. Well, I did. But yeah, they should be the tip of the spear. They should be there doing those infantry engagements and being protected by the VMP-1s.
Coop at least finally finds some kill, but the cluster bomber, the HE bomber still did clear out the 2 infantry squads there that the Visatkari tried to assist with. And the BMP-2 and the T-72 there in a pretty bad spot. The Dana desperately trying to get more kills. Mi-17 moving out. Mirage does get shot down. I believe the reason why we didn't see more of Visatkari was because of the kill of the first Me Too, because of Mike being too scared to move in with helicopters here. But that was more also down so to him not resupplying his coup. So the air trade's not quite going his way. And yeah, the Mistrals here now holding the center. Milan 2 is able to arrive there as well. AGS immediately does get shot up again by infantry and an AMX-10, and with that, there's once more no infantry left here, and that T-72 is in a world of trouble, because all the infantry with all the French launchers are moving forward. It at least gets the AMX-10, but gets killed out afterwards. Another good trade for the light French forces, and they are putting up the pressure so well here now. There is so little combined arms left here for Mike that is anything else but support units. Like, he has a couple of ATGMs, he has the Danas, he has some Coops, but around that there is so little. No infantry here on the front line, no tank core, and kind of similar to what we saw last game, his vehicles against the French moved a bit too much on the lonesome. He tried to get it on the south, but the Conquerors and T-55 there just not moving in a good cohesive manner. And in the center, his tanks and vehicles got picked off one by one by the enemy AMX-10s without being able to fire back, and that's exactly how AMX-10s like their engagement, being able to shoot first, killing off the enemy, and not being shot back at against. And yeah, it's looking pretty grim here right now for Mike. He is against a +4. That +4 will win the game within the next 3 minutes and 50 seconds now. And he is a good bit away from getting back into any of the points. BMP2 does get shut down, another Vizat Kari does get killed in the south, and there is just no force that actually can achieve a push here. At least 3 T-72s are on the battlefield again. Another T-72MK is arriving, but even if he gets back, he's still then up against the +2 that still will finish him off quite quickly, and he would need to push all the way through. So I believe 6 Leger here will get another French division to victory.
Yeah, guys, T-72 divisions, they're just so overpowered. You can't do anything if the enemy can spam T-72s. I mean, you just better quit. Why even try? I mean, there's no way you can outperform them. And this is what it looks like in practice here. Like, of course, Mike's unit compositions are not the most efficient ones and have not been, but that really is the weakness of 19th. 19th locking so many standard units behind the helicopter wall, basically having to deploy them with helicopters, means that even when you could just order in the helicopters and land the guys on a safe side and then walk them forwards, that's kind of clunky. That's not something that you want to impose on yourself when you're microing. So you just buy 2 Zalosnici instead of the one Visarkari. And in the end, the Zalosnici, though points-wise, it might look good, and they are less intensive to get into the front line. The Visarkari could have actually gotten the kills. They could have actually pushed, and they would have actually been the front line that the T-72s deserved. Having like a RT ships unit there to do the spotting, Visarkari unit to do the fighting, and then a bunch of tanks coming behind doing the shooting. But instead, Mike wanted to go into numbers, and the numbers worked partially. The BMPs performed in the northern areas very well, and they just did not perform in the southern areas at all. Not when the linchpin was conquering the southern forest from the enemy.
Yeah, and now
And
desperate
also,
attempts with some S-25s, but too much Shorad there around, and there we go. GG is called. Mike tapping out, and that means we will go to the decider game here. Fluffy Unicorns finding a really, really solid opener, getting us all the way to game number 5, with Mike just not quite being able to stabilize and get the cohesive force out once more. Once more, the lighter division here able to take out the enemy's heavy units time and again. And yeah, a really decisive KD lead here by Fluffy Unicorns.
yeah, and there was also like a bunch of just mistakes from Mike's part. The not killing those infantry units, not pushing them, and trying to prevent the enemy from landing infantry in the middle. That would have been one. The leaving a bunch of important units, including the coups, unsupplied was a second really big one. Like that could have cut down the head of the air snowball early on. And even though the double Danas were really nice, the double Danas did kind of lose their relevance partially when there were not that many infantry recon units left for Mike anymore. Mike had a very well done Pruskumnici flank to prevent the enemy from getting into the back point. But with Fluffy Unicorns being so dedicated in hunting down the Special Forces recon units, it only led to like Spatavas and just inefficient recon holding the front line in the later stages of the game.
Yeah, and the Danas were maybe bought a bit too early. Maybe a couple more units for the front line would have been better at that point to just be able to kill MX-10s and be able to keep the number of MX-10s on a manageable level with us having a decent core of heavy armor units yourself, and that didn't happen. So in the end here, yeah, GGVP 2 Fluffy Unicorns. And with that, we will go to the Decider game, which will be a classic Mount River game with two classic Mount River divisions. 5th Panzer versus 9th Panzer. Once more, West Germany meets East Germany. And both divisions have great selling points for a game on Mount River. We will see which one of them can use theirs better. And all that is going to happen in a minute time, guys. Quick break, guys. And then the final game of the Division 3 Grand Finals. And here we go. Decider game, Division 3 Grand Finals ahead of us with two of the best divisions for this map. So no mistake in the pick and ban of these two players here for sure. We have the 9th Panzer Division of the NVA on the left side versus the 5th Bundeswehr Panzer Division on the right side. Both of them heavy armored divisions, both of them good in the late game for slightly different reasons. On the right side, the 5th Panzer does step up all the way with heavy Leo 2A3 and 2A4 tanks. But on the other side, the T-72s that you get are quite strong as well. But especially in the late stage, you also get good fire support. You get the Napalm rocket launcher that can just completely devastate the spots on the map and force the enemy tanks to and support units to abandon those positions, allowing your T-72s to rotate in. And the T-72 S's here can dominate the open grounds with their strong severe missiles as well. So really, really good divisions as well. Both divisions not having the strongest openers, so I would not expect explosive minutes 1, 2, 3, but everything after minute 3 should be fantastic. Heavy mechanized play on both sides here on a relatively narrow map that allows for those divisions to shine to their maximum. And yeah, I'm excited. I hope you guys are as well. And yeah, what do you think about the deployment so far, Chloride?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the recon deployments here because, of course, the Furnish Bear being the Special Forces recon and having ground surveillance radar and having airborne deployment, they will they are given the opportunity to play aggressively as much as Fifth can, which is not that much, but it can still be crucial. Yet all of them are still deploying very defensively. The closest even getting into the northeast corner of X-ray. That's the furthest that anybody is getting to. There are no tanks being bought in fight by Fifth. There was there's one Leopard 1A 1A1 which is going up north to do infantry support basically in fights for Alpha and Papa. There is a Jaguar 2. There is a bunch of machine guns. There is a decent amount of anti-air, but not an IHawk, but instead a Roland, of course. I forget this is not second Panzer Grenadier. No tank. No actual tank. Only fire support tank. Yet the enemy has 3 tank. Enemy has 3 T-72 moves. They're upvetted. They have the Cooper right behind them. So even though the first pair opener is not being used in here anything, instead Fluffy Unicorns wants to find the enemy, most likely with these Mi-2 helicopters, and wants to start shooting right from the gate. And whatever the plan is for Mike to counter this, Mike only really seems to be just immediately moving into long-range defenses as a solution for this. And maybe there are some airplanes out there in the back pocket, but this could go really bad for Mike if Fluffy Unicorns just finds an angle or spots with the recon crucial information early on. Of course, Fluffy Unicorns doesn't know that the enemy is opening without a tank, and that gives Mike a little bit of leeway and a little bit of space to develop. But, who knows how aggressively Unicorn is going to do this, because they've been playing very well so far.
Yeah, the Smoke Mortar, I really like that unit here, setting up the engagement ranges, knowing that you have this lower range tanks here in this matchup, so playing around Mortar from the get-go to try to establish good engagements for your T-72 by just blocking line of sights, forcing the engagement ranges that you want, and yeah, having that move up north there with this push, that should be quite interesting. The Me2Urn, really nice key unit for the opener as well, just keeping the enemy honest, keeping any fan spares from going too deep. Likely not going to find a kill in this opening scenario here, but still will be annoying and might even still find one because there is no fast AA here. The Gepards and Rolands both pretty slow, so if the fan spares do just move a slight bit too far, they still could get found out by the Me2 US Adder, which comes with a bit of firepower as well, but especially the Me2Urns with their 57mm rockets and the 23mm gun. And yeah, fan spare here rotating into the center. The T-72 MUV and M1K all going up into the north. And the only bit of defensive forces here with an Aufklärer and a Fagott ATGM for the center of this fight.
Ooh, the Adder is now spotting the first bears here, and greedy Mi-2 Urns are flying in here, knowing that this is a safe space for helicopters for the moment, though wasting their missiles, rockets on an Iltis, so that's a good deal for Mike.
Yeah, we see the Me2U as in the south being killed, F4F being bought immediately. Next, Me2Urn wasting its rockets there on not so valuable targets. MiG-23 here being around to deal with the F4F, as long-range R-23R rockets and the F4F already was stressed out, so could come in here for the kill, is actually being upvetted as well. Me2US finds the Jäger Aufklärer, is engaging the Fanspare as well, but there are now some Transport Panzer Fuchs and the Fanspare with their sniper rifle. They should be able to deal with this in the long run. MiG-23 here flying deep is pushing back the F4F, but not going to be able to kill it most likely, as there is fire against it as well, and it gets another R6DM out, but that would not even be able to kill, and it will get pushed back here in the end. Aufklärungs BMP-1 does go down there, further up north against the Fuchs Milan. But the T-72 is now moving in. The smoke mortar play is moving into the position here as well, with Pioneer flamethrowers being able to push any infantry. Ooh, one martyr with Panzer Grenadiers inside, getting shut down in the middle. So trades so far pretty equal here. Killing off the Jäger Aufklärer from keeping them away from the northern forest, for sure great. S-22 Rocket going after the Milan team, or at least finding the Fernsteher there with their 240mm rockets, is getting pushed back by the Roland 3. You should not invest into much more air than this as Fluffy Unicorns, but forcing the enemy to buy a decent amount of AA with those cheap rocket planes is nice. Jaguar here now, able to get some shots out. BRM 1K not quite forward enough to spot for those T-72s, so they just smoke off for now, as the infantry of Mike able to overwhelm the enemy pioneers for now. So Northern push off Fluffy Unicorn, not moving places just yet, but the T-72 is still really, really dangerous. Pioneer Carl Gustavs under fire now without being able to retaliate with their Carl Gustav being pushed out of there. Motschützen pushing forward, and the T-72 MEV now together with the BRM-1 taking the open spaces, and yeah, they just can't take that fight there as long as the BRM is in range to spot even against the Jaguars and the Milans. They have 3 of them, so they can just overwhelm the enemy with pure firepower.
Yeah, this single smoke mortar play here is like amazing.
The T-72 not in range though, and the BRM would just get taken out because the T-72's dead leavets alone. Big mistake there. Why did the T-72s move away from the BRM there? They could have just used overwhelming firepower there quite easily to secure those kills. Pioneer Carl Gustav now once more under attack, but so are the Motschützen here. Roland 3 is getting good hits against the Su-22 here once more. Might even find a kill there. Yes, does find a kill there. Pioneer Carl Gustav and one MG3 going down, but the loss of the BRM here really annoying. That's what allows you to deal with the Jaguar and the Milan 2 easily. So losing that means that you need to replace your recon units. Another Aufklärer unit on the way. F4F does get hit, but did take the Me-2 urine out on the way out. MiG-23 would be there to maybe kill it, but is not moving in from the north. So the F4F will get out alive. T-72 M1K is going in for the capture here now. But yeah, Fluffy Unicorn's not playing as aggressively with the T-72s as you might want to do. BO-105 does get shut down. The Roland 3, that's a unit that you could just kill right now by running your T-72s forward. But obviously, we have more intel than Fluffy Unicorns. And Fluffy Unicorns is a bit scared of actively using the T-72s here more.
Yeah, I think that was a gap in the smoke that actually caught the BRM in it, with the T-72s not being microed to engage right at that point. And still, it was still relatively lucky that it was a BRM that got caught and not a T-72. But still, does slow down, does buy more time for Mike. Finally, a Leopard 2 being boarding 5 minutes in, and Mike is going to start playing this as a tank div. Fluffy Unicorn's attack is a great example of how you have to play a division like 9th if you want to play it aggressively. Basically, you want to play it like an armored division right from the start. Instead of having a proper like artillery tab, you have a single mortar. Instead of having proper division, you have 3 tanks and some recon units, and you just have to start playing to the type immediately. You can't afford like a Motto Aufklärer rush and then switch into an armored division play. And so far, I think like Mike's air counter to the helicopters bought him a lot of time with the T-72s moving up north, where they are, even though there are way more targets, the ranges and the angles are not the best for tank fights. Mike is behind, ironically, behind the smoke cover from this enemy. Is actually building up a lot of forces, and even the Leopard 1A, 1A1s will be able to just drive past that smoke and fire at the enemy flank or the enemy armor on close ranges if the enemy actually starts doing anything. And oh, here we see a Panzer Grenadier destroying a full squad of Pioneer Flams while they were still in deployment. And
yeah, and the T-72s are just like not doing anything right now. And that is just shameful display. Like, the opener idea was good, but T-72s, like the smoke mortars, were seemingly helping Mike way more than they were helping Fluffy Unicorns here. Like, instead of isolating enemy units, the smoke just kept Fluffy Unicorns too scared to move, fearing the shadows behind the smoke. And the T-72s just sat around emptily and not doing anything. And you can poker on winning the late game and gamble there that you might get it with some great napalm launches late on. But usually in this matchup, you want to grind away and keep the enemy from getting too many Leopard 2s out. And that's currently not what Fluffy Unicorn is doing. So Layer 2 numbers now is going to steadily rise. And once they hit a certain number, T72 is just gonna absolutely feel terrible against them. Like there is a point where Leopard 2s just run over T72s and it's not even going to be close. And that's the real issue here for Fluffy Unicorn right now. Like those smoke plays here, they are well done on its own, but they're not followed up well at all. Like there has not been a single one of these smoke screens that actually has achieved anything for Fluffy Unicorns. Even contrary has led to the BRM being killed and so on. Like taking out these flanking shots, you should push up and follow them up with some action, but instead he's just smoking them off and then not doing anything.
Yeah, Pioneer Carl Gustav is pushing away, scaring away that T-72 up north there, and Jaguar 2 survives with 1 health point of the duel. So tactical victory for the skirmish here for Mike. Mike also just pushing largely, taking a risk, does not lose the M577G A2 leader, but does get pretty close. Still, obviously tired of waiting around with 2 leopards on the board, and now just more combined arms, Gepards, Panzermöses, and Roland 3s to facilitate future attacks and also to defend against the inevitable air attacks that are going to come as the Leopard 2 A4Cs are on the board.
And yeah, the 152mm artillery piece is now engaging the Milan 2. Motschützen though under fire there. Milan 2 does get taken out, but the T-72Ms now, one of them being hit, the other one's still not taking any engagements. The smoke mortar is returning, but one of the T-72s has fired 2 shots so far. Like that's not the numbers of shots. The other one in the north has fired 3. The one that retreats has fired 2 as well. So in total, 7 shots of T-72 ammo in 10 minutes time. When those are your crucial opening units, they were the main point of this push, and they have fired 7 shots in 10 minutes time. That is showing you all you need to know about how well that opener did go here for Fluffy Unicorns. The napalm launcher, as I said, that can change all of this. Those tanks still can pay off later, but that likely was not the game plan here. And the napalm launcher here did get some nice shots out there, did deal some good damage, but did not get a kill here with the first salvo. Roland 3, for example, did escape, so has to find another one later. So yeah, it seems like now the game plan for Fluffy Unicorns is just having major success with that. New T-72 MEVs moving in, and as I said, it can work out. We have seen those units enabling absolutely nasty scenarios in the past, even against heavier decks like 5th Panzer, but it's not going to be easy, especially as the Layer 2A3 is one of the tanks that can deal with the napalm the easiest by just driving away.
Yeah. Mike's infantry, a Jaeger Aufklärer, not put on return fire, so they exposed themselves and got destroyed here, with the rest of Mike's infantry forces pushing back here. Slight momentum here, moving in for Fluffy Unicorn. The artillery, if the artillery could get like a series of kills here, and if Fluffy Unicorns would have the knowledge of that happening, that could significantly change the situation. But as long as it's just kind of averaging out damage on different sides, Mike will be able to keep reinforcing this. The PA 1 kill is pretty nice here by the Shilka. The Fagot being maybe taking out a Fuchs Milan at some point would also be pretty nice. But like the problem we've seen in many of these games so far is just that there's a lack of really like understanding of how to actually move forwards after the pieces have been put in position. A lot of constant build-up, constant skirmish, and thinking and microing, but nobody ever committing into anything. And of course, Mike doesn't need to commit to anything. Mike already has a +2 here, but Mike also is under this this napalm fire, and could by this be encouraged to start attacking instead of passively losing units. Even then, I feel like if Mike just decides to stay still and micro against the napalm, that will be more than enough. Partly because of that fluffy unicorn information issue, in which they just don't have a good understanding of what's happening or where the units are. And most of Mike's stuff is fast enough to survive these. Even like the Jaguars, the Martyrs, they're all 60 kph. Even the trucks are 75 kph. The Mancats, they can just get right click there and supply it with some new Mancats.
Yeah, artillery here now, trying to find some hits. The first 2 napalm shots not killing anything. Now we have the first longer reload here for the next salvo. Alouette in the south will get killed. Whilst we have more T-72s now moving in, trying to get something done. But yeah, there are just no kills here for Fluffy Unicorns, as his tanks just never take engagements. And if your key unit in an armored division is not doing any damage to the enemy, then obviously you aren't going to get anywhere. And if he would play this from a defensive position, if he would be the one with the center or so, and he would hold the positions that he's holding right now, I would be kind of okay with this. But with him being up against a +2 tick, not even trying to get kills right now, is a weird way of playing this. Like, being so reliant on getting that mystical napalm rocket launcher hit to actually be able to do something here seems a bit weird. Like, the build-up on both sides here is getting massive, and obviously the higher the unit concentration, the better the napalm rocket launcher is, because the more units get hit at once. But the better the Layer 2s are as well, because they just gonna one-shot T-72s and be able to rotate through their numbers. As we have now Milan 2s here once more engaging. Yeah, the Aufklärer should be able to spot that and all, so I'm not quite sure why that unit is not being followed up against, not being killed just by a T-72 MEV going forward, taking a shot or two. But yeah, Transport Panzer Fuchs, the first thing to die in a minute or two, but it's just more and more units. Obviously, 5 games in, both sides here have played a lot of games here, both sides here likely quite exhausted, so you might be a bit more risk averse than you would be in the first game, with the game also deciding the title. But if you are the lighter division, then you have to put up some pressure, and we see a lack of that right now from Fluffy Unicorn. Finds the Milan 2 finally. 52mm does get the kill there. Napalm launcher, 60% reloaded now. 72 engaging further in the south here. Could deal with that Milan 2 in a second by just having enough tanks firing on top against it. They're firing currently on the MG3 instead of the Milan 2, but do get it with just AoE damage. Oh no, the artillery actually did get it there. So the Fan Spear under fire now as well. Milan 2 dead. Jaguar blocked nicely this time around, but now the smoke becomes an issue, because now the Layer 2s on the other side can just use the smoke for playing peekaboo against your T-72s. And yeah, that's what's going to happen now. T-72 MEVs too far away to actually do something here. Just getting hit up and having to disengage, and first T-72 there in real trouble, whilst not even being able to touch the Layer 2s on the other side. So yeah, MEVs here just having to disengage. Not a lot of HGMs behind us, and the center here should stay in Mike's hand.
Yeah, the leopard movement here shown how practical this is. That with this speed, this accuracy, this rate of fire, and the fact that all of them have smoke launchers, and even without the enemy smoke giving them natural cover here, that would have been a really bad engagement for the T-72s to do on long ranges, because the missiles and BMPs are basically on their maximum already. The MG3s also provided pretty nice coverage, also a fair spare unit up northeast.
And the MEV goes down. Both SU-22 ATs go down here. Another issue on this map that your planes just can't do it after the first 5 minutes. Like they just can't achieve successes for you.
Another T-72 getting tagged by a Milan 2 up north here with a Fernspare spotting.
And this means that you're just not being able to achieve critical mass anymore here at this point, as you really want to have a big T-72 blob that actually can push the enemy and force them to engage them. But with Mike having the better spots here right now, and the Leo 2s by now having curbed the T-72 numbers nicely enough, I just see no way forward here for Fluffy Unicorns. Like, it would really need a mystical level kind of napalm salvo that enables him to kill half of Mike's forces here in one go to really turn this around, and I just don't see that happening. Mike is playing too carefully for that to happen. Napalm will maybe get a couple of Transportpanzer Fuchs Milans here. Not a bad take, but with the current position, not nearly enough.
Yeah, the problem with the mystical napalm launcher that kills and destroys your enemy army in one shot is that when you open the scroll of the secret of the napalm launcher, well, what it actually is a mirror, and you look yourself in the face and you realize that even the napalm launcher is just dependent on recon fundamentals, positioning, timing, all the stuff that it's not going to bail you out if you are lacking on any of those. And the passive damage here, as we can see, is nice. This here is a 1 M113A1 that won't necessarily be able to be sold, but even then, just practical unit positioning and Mike's opener where they managed to slow down the T-72s enough, sacrifice some time, and sacrifice some space, sacrifice some time to get the infantry out first, and then only later on developing into the Leos. Had Fluffy Unicorn had that information, maybe they would have attacked earlier, but at this point, it's way too late. And Mike abused in their planning, in their opener, the fact that we have noticed all throughout these games, which is that both players prefer to play carefully. Neither has necessarily the confidence to go all in on any of their harebrained schemes. Even the most aggressive play we've seen so far, which maybe came from the 6th E, even that was done very conventionally with the infantry attacks and such.
Yeah. T-72 M1K does go down here. The Napalm tried to cut off the Layer 2s. That would have maybe been an idea if you would have had enough pressure on them to actually force them to retreat, or be able then to catch them between the fire and your guns, but there was not enough guns here around anymore. The attrition rate here just too much in favor of Mike lately. And yeah, Gepard does go down, but there are not a crucial number of T-72s. There's more coming up now, but that's still only 3 of them. 3 of them aren't able to break through Leo 2A4Cs, and 2 of the Leo 2A4Cs and 3 Leo 2A3s here just outnumbering the enemy heavily. Mike is on 900 points already. Obviously, Fluffy Unicorns does not want to give up at this point. It's the tournament live on display here. It's the final decider game. You want to keep every chance that you have. Maybe you can find some mystical side shots. Leo 2s are vulnerable, they are fragile, they can get side-shotted by a T-72 and killed, so maybe 1 or 2 big blunders here that still could technically turn around, but the chances for that are really, really slim at this point, and Mike really has not shown many slip-ups in these series. He has not shown any great gambles outside of the second game on Airport, but he has shown really, really great fundamentals, and yeah, currently, it seems like those Leo 2A3s and 2A4s just gonna be able to stall this game into a victory in the long run.
Yeah, this is the Svir-equipped T-72S, the top tank of the DDR, has been brought out now. There's 2 of them in the front line, but and there are some outclares, but the problem was never the lack of long-range missiles that could hit the BMP, the Leopard 2s or Martyrs. The problem was that both sides are now filling, at this time, Mike is filling the map with a bunch of permasmoke, and the permasmoke just exists to favor the faster forces with the larger infantry squads, which at this point are in both counts 5th Panzer and 9th Panzer here, that wants to keep up this constant numbers advantage. Early on, cut their own numbers advantage into pieces by trying to keep the missiles in check, and now the enemy fire superiority is still kept in check by the opposing side.
T-72 did find a side shot against the Leo 283, but even at this point, Fluffy Unicorns does not quite have enough to follow that up for a kill. Now his T-72S there did get hit pretty hard in return, and the +2 here is back on. The +2 is going up. The napalm launcher on the reload, and the M109s here now hitting the storm. Yeah, the napalm launcher is great if you can catch the enemy at a point where they just are close to a breaking point, but that's just not what's happening here on the other side. Like, Mike can give up any position on his front line and have enough on another spot of the battlefield to still keep you from pushing, and that's obviously where the napalm's capabilities just fall apart. The BMP-1 here did get killed as well, and yeah, Leo 283 now moving forward, going in for more kills, and at this point the Leo 283 is just absolutely in its element, going over the open field, taking some shots, getting some kills, move away, reload if you use your smoke, otherwise just come back in a minute and do it all again. And yeah, Leo 283s are just getting away with murder once more. T-72Ss can do a bit of damage against them, but they can't find the kills here.
Yeah, that's hit by the Jaguar 2 immediately against the T-72 move. The angle is too wide, the enemy tech superiority is too much, the tick is too far deep, the enemy infantry squads are way too large, and the Roland 2s fire 2 shots in a quick succession, the Marders doing the rest of the Gepards doing the rest of the damage if necessary. Just late game 5th Panzer is a juggernaut, and even though it doesn't have a signature unit like the napalm artillery that could maybe disrupt something like this massive mech attack that is happening in the middle right now, in the south corner of this concave. But yeah, Fluffy Unicorns is going to try with the rest of them, the rest of the planes, the helis, everything's coming out here, and Mike is going to have to micro this problem away.
Yeah, S22 here getting pushed. Smoke mortars trying to set up smoke. Could even go for a bit more wild smoke here from Fluffy Unicorns. Me-24Ds trying to get into the north. Yeah, now the smoke mortars setting up more attempts here. The BMP-2s here not really that great of a position. They should be behind the T-72s, not in front of them. So the Leo 283 does get a free shot. One of the Leo 2s does get killed in the north. Another one under attack here by the Me-24s. The F4F does go deep. One Leo 283 here under attack, as MEV does get picked up north. Al Gustav's getting pretty deep as well. Now the smoke actually saves the Leo 283 here. And yeah, the numbers just get picked off. The kill to loss ratio here is currently slightly in favor of Fluffy Unicorns, but it's already so far behind that even at this point, like the traits just likely not gonna save you. Tornado HE under fire here. Coop not able to find a kill. +3 still going on for Mike. 5 minutes to go till victory. Tornado HE does go down. We have M109s going after the Coop now though, so likely gonna find a kill there. Coop under fire. Still some Leo 2s and so on in the south. I like the smoke mortar play, but yeah, now the follow-up is finally moving around. Such moves would have been needed earlier. Such moves should have followed behind the first smoke. You need to use that smoke to actually enable you to take some engagements instead of just removing the enemy from engagements with you. You actually need to enable some kills, and there are some kills now being enabled by it, but yeah, they are just coming in quite late here with 1,400 points. Like, even if Fluffy Unicorn is winning these engagements now, I just even see a hard way for them to actually get the points at this stage that they would need to even catch up with the 1,500 point lead. And I don't even see them winning these fights.
Yeah, and Mike has now secured the zone of Papa, and even though there are enemy leaders around, and this is not necessarily a permanent victory, just the attentions being taken away from Fluffy Unicorn, and the knowledge that every single loss here, every single unit loss, could be the loss of the game. I'm sure, like, Unicorn at this point is mentally probably prepared at that the game is over after these engagements. Oh, a Jaguar 2 getting a Toe 2 hit right at the front armor, destroying half of the armor of the T-72 move. The Leopard 2s performing really nicely. I also saw that Leopard being saved by the mortar shell. That was quite funny. Also, a second Leopard very nicely in a different position. So when they all of them turned into to face the first one, the second one could peek from beyond from between the smokes to get a kill earlier.
Yeah, the BMP1 flank here in the middle over the open water, that was actually doing a lot of work here. Really good move there by Fluffy Unicorn. Issue just once more is that it's likely not going to be enough. The BMP1s, like, if they would come in right now whilst the T-72 pushes the front line and they get the side shots with Malyutkas or split the attention of the Leos, like, all of that would be great, but the attrition rate has gone so deep into Fluffy Unicorn's forces that he is not able to do that, and that Mike's forces are still numerous enough here on the blue side that if you would move in, you would still get fired upon from a lot of other sides as well, so your T-72s just can't go as deep as they would want to. The HE bomber here finding a BMP-2, even though that was not the most effective kill-wise, it did disrupt all these units here as well, and the M109s even might find the MEV here as well, as the pick here, only 1 minute now away from victory, no CV anywhere close to really get that changed. Smoke mortars being used, 1 BMP is running into the north desperately now, as whilst the 1 BMP is moving into the center to try to get there together with T-72 MK. So Fluffy Unicorn is realizing that the time is nearly run out, but yeah, they are still struggling to deal with the enemy layout. 2A4 are about to kill it there. BMP1 is rolling in, 40 seconds to go. And the Leo 2A4C in the north at least does go down. Leo 1A1 there can't keep up with this quite, but the Leo 2A3, okay, does get taken out as well. So yeah, Fluffy Unicorn actually with good trades here right now, but only 30 seconds remaining. BMP1 KR is getting the north capture. T-72 is now driving through the middle, but a lot of Panzer Grenadiers just being brought up there. A couple of Leo 2s are around as well. One just in range here of the T-72 MK. The smoke did dissipate, and the T-72 M1 MK immediately gets damaged heavily. BMP1 trying to drive into the middle, only 14 seconds remaining now. BMP1 does go down, T-72 under ATGM fire as well, will die there as well, and with that, it is GG, and there we have the tap out as well, 5 seconds before the end, as Fluffy Unicorn did not quite find a way to crack 5th Panzer here. Mike with a really, really stable game, and that can be said for his whole series here. A fantastic fundamentals game, and that is how you win in Division 3. That is how you get better at WARNO. Just not trying to do all the shenanigans, just focusing on learning the fundamentals. You can add sprinkles of the shenanigans later on, and we saw that with the 2nd Panzer Grenadier, a glimpse of that, but the fundamentals of both of these players, fantastic. A fantastic series here, going all the way. In the end, Mike had the slight leg up, and with that is our Division 3 champion.
Yes, as expected, Division 3 players, like, very competent in the fundamentals, like excellent unit compositions all around. Like, the openers are planned out, and the openers are played based around how the players, what units the players have in their decks. So obviously, like, great capabilities here, but just lacking that je ne sais quoi, lacking that X factor, the confidence, the stupidity to go into the unexplored, unknown, and make the call. We are going to attack now. I don't know if the enemy has tanks. The enemy could have tanks here or in that other place, but at some point, somebody needs to take the initiative. And if you can do that and you can micro around that and make decisions around that, you can generally decide how the games go. And in these games that we got here, neither player was willing to do that. Instead, always choosing the safer and the more comfortable and the more mechanical path of just hanging around and waiting for the enemy to make a mistake and then doing their best to capitalize on that mistake. And then, on the other hand, constantly concentrating that none of their units are revealing themselves or making any mistakes. And in these fights, when those kinds of engagements happened, the player with the better recon just tended to win in most cases.
Yeah,
especially infantry recon.
really, really good show. And yeah, Fluffy Unicorn did give it his best here once more in the late game, but just like in the game on Airport, they started a bit too weak to be able to keep up with the late game division here. And Mike was just like in that game on Airport, not letting the enemy take away his cookie here, getting the 3-2 victory in the end. And yeah, really great show. Great season by both of these players. Really entertaining games all the way up to the grand finals, and a fantastic grand finals out of both of them as well. So GGVP here to Fluffy Unicorns and Mike. Thanks to both of them for playing. Thanks to all of you for watching. And yep, we have a new Division 3 champion. I'm really looking forward to seeing them all in Division 2 next season. And I'm also really excited for the one remaining big series that we still have left this season, which is going to be the grand final of Division 1. We are currently in the planning to figure that out. We should have a date for you guys tomorrow when we're going to cast that. As Bendover and Static currently try to figure out the time. And yeah,
we've been with discussions using our contact, this guy called Steve Witkov. He's been talking to the Iranians so we could get a nice 5-day plan. Of course, the fighting is going to restart during the weekends because that's when the stock market is not active.
But yeah, we hope that we can get you that grand finals in time here. And yeah, thanks to all of you for watching. Thanks to Mike, and congratulations to Mike here, and to Ace Fluffy Unicorns once more for that fantastic series. And yeah, if you guys want to watch more WARNO right now, you can watch the preview videos of the 2 latest divisions that went on live today, with the 2nd Marine Corps and the 336 Moskaya Precotti division. Both can be found on the YouTube channel. Links in the chat right now. So thanks to all of you for watching. See you all in the next one. Bye-bye.
Yes. And congratulations to the players from me as well. And also, finally, the people calling for Marines. Finally, you people have a video. Go click on that video.